What's going on, Lions fans? Welcome to the Pride of Detroit PODcast, your home for all the latest and greatest Detroit Lions news, updates, analysis, and so much more. In today's episode of this podcast, we are going to be recapping week 2 of Lions OTAs, going over some of the, I would caution to say big news because we're at a weird point in the offseason, but we're going to go over some of the news that's at least surrounding this team after the second week of OTAs. There's some injury updates to get to, as well as some pretty interesting comments from Dan Campbell about Jahmyr Gibbs. There's some things to discuss about the offensive line, and Derrick Barnes had a pretty interesting interview with Justin Rogers that I think, has a couple of points that are worth us touching on as well. I'm your host, Miko. You can find me over at Twitter at the Miko Scott. Joined once again by my amazing two co-hosts. First and foremost, we have your senior editor over here at prideofdetroit.com, Ryan Matthews at Ryan_POD. Ryan, how are you doing on this amazing Monday? It's pretty nice outside.
Oh, yeah. Starting to really feel like summer in Michigan outside. But, I mean, is it July yet? Are there pads on? Like, we're starving over here for Lion stuff. But at least we have some tidbits that we can get into today. So, I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, we have stuff. We would just prefer, more meaningful stuff. It's like going to a garage sale, and it's like you can find stuff, but you're not always going to find gems.
You got a lot of digging. That's essentially a lot of digging. We're digging a lot over here. Yeah.
Also joining us is our editor-in-chief over at prideofdetroit.com, as well as beat writer for the Lions as well, Jeremy Reisman at Detroit Online over there on Twitter. Jeremy, how are you doing today?
I'm good. We got stuff to talk about. I don't want to try to convince people to turn off the podcast 10 seconds in. We got some big topics.
I think, first of all, people turn into the podcast at this point in the offseason just to hear us talk. I feel like at this point, like we can't lie to the people all offseason as if like all of these are gems. Like
I'm just saying, if you think this is the lean time, check in a month and see where we're at.
That's also a good point. Also, this is also probably a good plug for the live stream, because even though there may not be like a lot of exciting news in the podcast, there's a lot of fun stuff that's probably going to happen during the break, because Ryan came in with a lot of like Detroit sports stuff on, and I feel like it's like a silent cry for help a little bit.
I'm trying to manifest something good.
Something good with like local Detroit sports at this point would be nice. At least with one of the major teams here I would take something. But with that said, let's go ahead and just dive into second week of OTAs. We unfortunately do have to start with some injury talk. Some of it's, some good, some bad. We're definitely going to start with the bad, with the biggest of that news being that Kendrick tore his ACL, I believe, last Tuesday. If I remember correctly, this was the Lions' 5th-round pick in this year's draft, wide receiver out of Kentucky. Jeremy, how would you kind of frame this injury's impact to the roster at this point in the offseason?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly wouldn't say it's insignificant. Certainly there could have been other players that would have had a more drastic impact, but he wasn't just a 5th-round pick. He was the guy that they targeted. They traded up to get him. They spent an extra day 3 pick to go out and get him. And when I heard the news, my thought immediately went to the week before's press conference with Dave Phipp, where he was talking about the rookie class and talking about how this is kind of a rare class where from top to bottom, you don't have a lot of special teams experience, except for Kendrick Law. He was the one guy amongst that group that had a lot of experience. I went back and looked at some of Brad Holmes's quotes after drafting Kendrick Law, and he's like, listen, a lot of people just see this kind of gadgety guy who, was just getting these short passes and getting a bunch of yak, but we see a guy that brings is immediate 4-core special teamer. He's a guy that could potentially be a gunner for this team. He can be in the return game. And so I think, he was as close to a lock, I think, as a 5th-round pick in June can be to make the 53-man roster. So now the Lions have to go searching. And the offensive impact this year, I think, I wasn't expecting much of anything, but we know this team really, really values special teams, and there's a lot of roles really up for grabs along all of special teams that I thought he was going to be a candidate for, like I said, on all 4 units there. So the Lions are going to have to go searching, whether it's amongst the linebacker group, maybe we're even talking different positions to fill in some of those roles, because it's I think a significant loss to a guy I imagine they had a lot of plans for in that third phase of the game.
Yeah, Ryan. I know when this news kind of first came across and I saw it as well, my initial thought was like it's a huge hit to like that the bottom part of this wide receiver group where I expected to see a lot of interesting competition, come training camp with this finally kicked off. Like Jeremy's talking about when you look at both special teams and just seeing like how far is the gap between a guy like Greg Dortch, Dominic Lovett, and Kendrick Law, right? Like, is there a huge gap between them, or is there like what was the utilization of a player like that going to be? So it is a bit of a bummer in that sense that like you're gonna have to wait another year to see what the Lions' grand plan was going to be for Kendrick Law.
Yeah, and maybe that wouldn't have been realized all in his rookie season in 2026, but you at least don't get to lay the groundwork, right? And it feels kind of reminiscent to what happened last offseason with Dan Jackson, right? A player who you didn't really know how he fit into things, but you knew that he would at least have a role on special teams in some way, shape, or form. And considering what happened to the Lions' safety depth last year, maybe they could have used Dan Jackson back there to provide some help and stability. So that's where I kind of feel similar to Kendrick Law, where you weren't expecting him to be much of a player and figuring into the offense a ton in his rookie season, but you definitely could see a path for him contributing on special teams. And I think the biggest bummer of it is all kind of like what you alluded to, Miko, in the sense that you don't get to see any of it. You don't get to see any of that happen in year one in any sense. So like a tough blow for a guy who I was pretty excited about because, as Jeremy mentioned, a player that the Lions identified, targeted, and moved up to grab in the 5th round. I think that immediately signaled to me that this is a guy that they really liked the upside of, because Jeremy, we did that first bite on Kendrick Law talking to our buddy from Kentucky radio, and this was a guy from Alabama, right, who went to Kentucky, played in an awful offense, just absolutely atrocious, was used in a very gadgety way, but I don't think that he necessarily was a gadgety player. Kind of felt like a product of that offense from our discussion that we had. So it was at least going to be exciting to see what he was going to bring to the table. Because how often do we, you see like Amon-Ra St. Brown, 4th round draft pick, right? You see some of these later wide receivers that if they can get a foot in the door, they can really carve a rollout for themselves. Maybe that could have happened with Kendrick Law, but unfortunately we have to wait, another year to see that come to fruition.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely wishing Kendrick Law a speedy recovery, as he kind of just starts that whole process of getting on the mend. And hopefully we can kind of see all of his talents on full display next year during there's time next year, as well as, training camp and everything else. Another player that we did get an update on last week, again, this is not necessarily in the most positive light, but is Kerby Joseph. And I think there was a lot of people even after last week's podcast that were kind of just wondering like, hey, where do things kind of sit with Kerby? And even we had a conversation about it in the sense that like the Lions weren't saying a whole lot, which to me kind of made me at least feel like, hey, things are probably in the same place that they were before if they're not updating us with brand new information. But Jeremy, you guys got to talk to Dan Campbell last week and kind of ask him about that. What was kind of your sense from talking to Coach Campbell and like how they are feeling about Kerby at this point in the offseason?
I don't think my opinion on the Kerby Joseph knee injury has changed much this offseason, but I've been pretty down on it, right? I've said multiple times on this podcast, this feels like it's not heading in the right direction. It feels like it's just something he's going to have to deal with for the rest of his career based on kind of the things that the Lions are saying, based on things that Kerby has said. And with as much of like, here's what Dan said. He said, when asked, what's kind of the timeline, how do you expect to get Kerby Joseph, the same Kerby Joseph you've gotten in previous years? He says, quote, "I honestly don't know. I know this. We've done everything we can do, and he's done everything he can do to this point, and we are trying to be as smart as we can and not push this until we absolutely have to, because once we've done that, then we'll know one way or another, and it's just not worth it right now." So, I mean, the idea there is like, hey, it's either going to work or it's not going to work on his knee. We don't want to find that out right now, because why open Pandora's box now when you can do it a little bit later? And I can, like, I've heard some people say, like, why not do it now just to see what you've got? But I think the idea there is more like, okay, it's something he's going to have to deal with. It's something that's probably going to progressively get worse as the season goes on. So why not, like, push that ramp up to pain or instability or whatever it is that's bothering him push that further down the line by not pushing it until August. But I mean, certainly doesn't sound good. Nothing that Dan said this past week sounded reassuring to me in any sort of way. I don't want to be, catastrophizing this. I don't want to make it act like the sky is falling, but if you've been waiting to hear something positive about Kerby Joseph, I don't think you've heard anything this offseason to make you think that things are going to be hunky-dory.
And I did want to say, like, I don't think you're the only one that feels that way, or you're definitely not the only one that feels that way. We actually threw up a poll over on our YouTube channel, shout out to our YouTube audience, because they did take an unnecessary shot from Ryan last week. I'm gonna just say that you guys took an unnecessary shot from Ryan last week. But out of 843 people that voted on this poll about just like, hey, how do you feel about the latest Kerby Joseph news? 58% were like, hey, they were less optimistic after that bit of news. 34% said that nothing really changed for them, but like that's a pretty significant portion of fans that just feel like, hey, like this doesn't sound like it's getting any better. And I think, like you said, Jeremy, I don't think anyone feels like they've gotten a bit of news that makes them feel like, oh, this is trending in the right direction. Ryan?
Oh, okay. You threw that to Jeremy, so I was just seeing if that was coming to me or not. So I think that we're just living in this reality now where Kerby Joseph is who he is. And I'm not holding my breath for good news at any point when it comes to Kerby Joseph. And I think to Jeremy's point that he was talking about, well, you have this contingent of people who are like, well, why don't you just rip the Band-Aid off and figure out whether or not you're going to have Kerby Joseph moving forward? It truly sounds like they're anticipating what's going to happen, and they know that if they start that clock now, that's that much longer they have to, do the maintenance and do the upkeep and make sure that his knee is taken care of moving forward. Right. Where if you just delay that clock, well, then that's less time you have to spend week after week after, we heard about all the stuff that Frank Ragnow had to do on a week-to-week basis. You know what I mean? To keep that toe in shape. I'm not equating it to that, but I'm just saying that there's probably some kind of plan in place where we're going to do X, Y, and Z. Hopefully Kerby's knee responds well to that over the course of a 18-week season, but we don't want to start that in June. We don't want to start that clock now because what if we could have him and probably pushing it to 18 weeks plus playoffs? Like, I don't know if I feel optimistic about that, but I at least understand probably the medical side of things that the Lions are considering when it comes to taking care of his knee over that many months, not starting it now versus starting it later in the season.
Yeah, I think you make a good point about the maintenance aspect of it. Because, like, sure, you could get him out on the field and see how he's moving. But if even just him being out there for a couple of hours potentially aggravates something, like you said, like now you have to start the maintenance process. And they probably already have a plan for what that's going to be. They probably don't expect him to practice a ton this upcoming season. There's no reason to put that additional kind of wear and tear. And I find it kind of interesting. Like across the NFL right now, like I feel like I'm going to mess this word up.
Degenerative.
There you go. Degenerative knee like issues is kind of like going to be like the hot button term this season, because like we're talking about it with Kerby. AJ Brown gets traded to the Patriots and they're all of a sudden like, well, he's got some knee issues that apparently aren't going to get any better. But it's just like, it's going to be about how these teams kind of manage these situations, right? When it comes down to what you're able to do in practice versus like how important is it going to be that you get X number of reps during the offseason in practice versus like, hey, we need you like at your best, whatever that looks like, when the games actually kick off.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's a break case in case of emergency kind of thing, right? It's like, it seems like they have a plan and they know that plan's going to happen. It's not a if that's going to happen, if they're going to need to, like the way that Dan Campbell has talked about this, the way that we haven't really gotten any good news about the long-term prognosis of his knee. It's the win, it's not this if thing that just kind of looms. Right. And if it does last week to week, Jeremy, then you just consider like, man, I don't know, like, is it worth it to have a guy who might go, might not go week to week? Or is it better to have a guy who is getting all of those reps and feels confident and comfortable in that role? Like it's a tenuous situation, right?
You're sounding a lot like Taylor Decker last year, right? Where it's just maintenance all week, not getting the reps with the team, and then shows up on Sunday and plays through it. Like, that could certainly be something that we see out of Kerby Joseph this year. Like, he's on the injury report every single week, but he goes through it, he shows up on game day, and he plays. But we kind of saw that a little bit last year with Kerby too, right? Where, he was trying to fight through that Chiefs game, and I mean, it was kind of hard to watch just from the sidelines. You hope by putting it off, you hope by doing all the prehab, by doing all of the workouts, the acupuncture, the whatever other things he's doing right now, that sort of thing can get pushed off to later in the year, or maybe somehow avoided completely. But it's hard to know, and I guess that's what they're telling us too, is like they don't know how his knee is going to react to full pads and full go, and not these kind of half speed OTA practices, because why bother with that? Like, he knows the movement, he knows the defense, don't need to risk all of that. But I think, to me, like, the focus right now is in, like, all right, so what's the plan then? Like, if Kerby isn't going to go, or he's going to have to be limited, or his knee doesn't react the way they want to in August before the season, like, where do they turn? Because even though, there are some other guys with Achilles tears that might be ready by week 1, Daniel Jones obviously was doing some 7-on-7 work, but it's a little bit different with a quarterback who's barely moving. Who's the other one? There's a receiver, I think, that either, I don't know. Either way, I still think the assumption is that Brian Branch is going to miss probably a month. I would like to follow up with Dan Campbell on that this week to see if I can get some further clarification on any perceived timeline there. But so no Brian Branch, Kerby Joseph, big question mark. How you guys feeling about the rest of the guys in that room? Kittle, George Kittle.
I feel like, I like what the Lions did. I think we talked about this when they made these initial moves. Like, I like the addition of Christian Izien. I like the addition of Chuck Clark. I like bringing back Avonte Maddox. I think you have enough capable guys to, like, roll out for probably, like, the first month, maybe 2 months of the season, and kind of just see what you have. The only thing that, like, Ryan, for me, that's, like, concerned is, like, how much help are the corners going to be to the safeties? Because it's kind of a marriage in that sense. Like, I think I have a good amount of confidence in the safeties themselves, but if the safeties have to do a lot of heavy lifting because the corner play isn't good, then I don't think we can expect a really impressive looking secondary for that first month and a half of the season.
Yeah, I think it's a good point that you bring up the rest of the defense too, because, even something that I was thinking about today as I was reading, I think it was Jeremy wrote a piece about the pass rush, right?
Yep.
And talking about how, they had the third slowest time to pressure in the NFL a season ago. I mean, that ties into everything on the back end, right? Like, you start generating some quicker decisions made by a quarterback. Well, then, your secondary doesn't have to hold up as much. And I think that's kind of the key to all of this, is that if you have guys, to your point, Miko, because I agree, like, you feel comfortable about the depth that is there. But if you're expecting them to be ball hawking, possession, field flipping safeties like Kerby Joseph is, you might be in for a tough time and a tough watch, because those guys aren't Kerby Joseph. That's no knock on those guys, but I think we can all agree that last season, what we saw from the Chiefs game on, it felt like the Lions lacked some of, eventually losing Brian Branch too, but they lost some of that ability to help out the offense in that respect with a turnover here, a big interception or a big forced fumble from Brian Branch. So if you're counting on the safeties to make those impactful, game-changing plays, those might be fewer and far, in between.
Right.
So
that's where you hope, like, the investments in Derrick Moore, or the year 2 jump from Tyleik Williams, or Aleem McNeil getting back to himself, like getting a little pressure on the quarterback, then your DBs can make more plays on the ball. What I thought was really interesting was right after kind of the Kerby Joseph question, Dan was asked more about Christian Izien and what they think they have in him. He's a guy that's played a lot of nickel, played a lot of, like, strong safety, if you will, but he might be forced into more, like the way the Lions play. There really isn't like one strong safety and one free safety. You have to do a little bit of everything. And that was something that Dan was talking about. It's like, listen, he hasn't played a ton of, deep safety stuff, but that's something that we think is in his toolbox. That's something that we think he has the talent for. We like him. We like how physical and instinctive he is, and we like how smart he is, but maybe there's some untapped potential there in kind of a deep safety role. And he's been getting a lot of reps with the first team defense at OTAs here, ahead of Avonte Maddox, and I think that speaks to it. It's been him, it's been Chuck Clark, and then Maddox has kind of been rotating in, but I think that speaks a lot to what they believe they have in Izzy. And I did like the signing at the time, but I think maybe I underestimated just the kind of impact he might have on this team, because just the way he talked about it, the way that things are rotating this early in OTAs, and again, you're not supposed to read too much into it. It certainly seems like this team has high hopes and expectations for him.
Yeah, he's the one guy that like I'm very curious to see like how he kind of fits. Like I just pulled up his RAS score from when he was coming out in 2023. Like this is a guy that has like 4.4 speed, right? Yeah. So like this is a guy that if you're talking about like having the athletic traits to play single high safety, like he definitely has at least that in his athletic bag. It's just a matter of like you kind of said, Ryan, like it's no knock on these guys, but like Kerby could do some ridiculous things on the field in that position, going from one sideline to the other sideline in one fluid motion to be able to cover up a lot of either mistakes or just providing help in the secondary. It's going to be interesting to see probably once we kind of get to training camp, like can Christian Izzy kind of fill those shoes? Because I think that is, to Jeremy's point, that's something that I think the Lions are going to be in desperate need of when it comes down to the secondaries. They're going to need somebody. If it's turnovers, then awesome. Like if it's interceptions, great. But like you at least need somebody that can provide a level of coverage on the deeper half of the field so that teams don't feel like they can just challenge you on 20-yard plus bombs every other play.
No doubt.
With that said, they also did get a chance. We did also get an update on both Terrion Arnold and Sam LaPorta. Both of those guys were back on the field last week in OTAs, but in limited fashion. What do you guys feel like your overall expectations are for Terrion this year? Because obviously last year there was a lot of hype during this portion of the offseason, as well as leading into training camp, about Terrion having a really impressive offseason. Obviously, he had a little bit of snafu, a little bit of stuff this offseason that was kind of floating around. But now that we're kind of back to football, what are your overall expectations, Jeremy, on just what you expect from TA?
It's a good question. I'd like to talk to him first just to see like where he's at mentally, where he's at physically, all those sort of things. Obviously, it was good to see him get on the field after missing last week's of OTA practice in front of the media. Was just limited, like you said, just kind of doing the walkthrough portion of practice, about 50% of it, and then going back off the field. My expectation, it's hard to know, right? Because I feel like the span of outcomes is huge, right? Like he could go out there and show us that what we saw in training camp last year wasn't a mirage, and take it to the field and be a really good to like great corner this year. Like I think that's possible. But we've had kind of this reputation in Detroit over the past decade, it feels like, of these guys that are all hype and then can never put it together. We know cornerback is typically a position that takes a while to get used to the NFL. There have been counterexamples and more counterexamples as of late, but in general, that's how it works. And you'd hope that enough time removed from his shoulder injury, which we don't even know if that's what he's dealing with now or something else, with an offseason, to consume everything that happened last year and deal with everything that did and didn't work. You'd hope at least there's some sort of jump in play, but it could very well kind of crash down to earth and he could lose his starting job by the end of the season. Like that's how wide I think the span of outcomes could be for Terrion, and it's really up to Terrion, which outcome we end up seeing. I tend to be more optimistic because if I see it on the field, if I see it on the practice field enough, and we pretty much saw it like all of training camp. It wasn't just like one or two good practices. He strung together a bunch, and it wasn't just us. Like Kelvin was praising him, Dan was praising him, his teammates were praising him, and in ways that feel more than just off-season hype. So I'm optimistic, but I also recognize that like it doesn't have to be like it could really go in any direction.
Like the one thing that sticks out from what you were saying is like there's a possibility of like there's a world in which we could see Terrion potentially lose a starting spot. Ryan, that makes me think like does the expectation for him basically just start at like you maintain a starting position for the entirety of the season? Like
I'm going to keep my expectations low so that hopefully they can be outperformed. That's kind of where I'm at with most of the 2024 draft class at this point. Like I feel like we have like similar, or at least in the sense of like Ennis Rakestraw, right? Like if you get him on the field, great, awesome. That's at least an improvement to be able to see him out there playing football. With Terrion Arnold, he has dealt with the injury, and it has kept him sidelined, and now it's keeping him, sidelined to an extent here in OTAs. And I think, one, I want to keep those expectations in check just because I feel like there were so many expectations for him from the jump. Rookie season, he was the second cornerback off the board in that draft. Quinyon Mitchell just got picked a couple, selections before him. I think you had Brad Holmes coming off the 2023 draft class. He traded up to get his cornerback. I think the expectations were extremely high for Terrion Arnold to begin with. When he struggled with the penalties and whatnot, it felt like, oh man, Jeremy said it takes cornerbacks a little bit longer in this league, and it certainly does with some of them, but you feel like it's not going to take longer with the guy who is the second cornerback off the board in a draft class. So then you kind of you realign your expectations, and at the end of his rookie season, I felt, and then Mika, like you said, training camp, the off season, you see the clips, you see the plays that he's making, you get really excited just for that to kind of all get hamstrung by injuries and the such. So I just think with Terrion, like it's really important. If I were to guess right now who I think is going to have a better season, him or DJ Reed, I think I'd be putting most of my shells on DJ Reed.
yeah. And you talk about keeping your expectations low. I think that's the same kind of vibe that I have with Terrion. Like I'm not by any means doubting him and doubting that, like to Jeremy's point, that he couldn't have a good season. But I'm keeping my expectations low for him in the sense that like there's 11 guys on the defense that are going to be on the field. You can't be the weakest link. Like it's that simple for me, especially when you're missing a Kerby Joseph, when you're missing a Brian Branch. Like people can't look at the secondary and be like, hey, that former number one pick is absolutely killing us. And that's the reason why the secondary is getting torched the way it is. Like it's still a pretty like big responsibility to carry, but again, over the like looking at the 11 guys on the field, like you just can't be the weakest link. People can't be constantly looking at being like, hey, number 6 is the problem.
No doubt. And that's, it's a low bar to set, and you hope that the bar is much higher than that, but any amount of skepticism feels appropriate until Terrion goes out there and actually does it, right? And is there maybe a higher level of impatience in Detroit because we've gone through highly drafted corners in this league and it hasn't worked out? Sure. I still do remain relatively optimistic, though. I think he's a hard worker. I think he has the intangibles that you want in a guy that will get better year to year. And again, like I saw enough in training camp to believe that that's a real thing. But again, who knows? Like maybe some of the off-season stuff has become a distraction and whatever. Like until we hear from him, until we see him on the field doing actual work, it's hard to say. But I agree with you guys. Like there is a ton of pressure on him this year. It feels like a make or break season where if he doesn't take that next step, then the Lions are going to go into 2027 thinking we need at least one starting corner on our roster.
I think that was a great point, though, Miko. Like, you have to look at those other 10 guys, and Terrion Arnold cannot be the weak link. He can't be the guy that offenses are saying, we're going to target this guy, But by the same token, I'm not expecting him to be like a island corner. You know what I mean? Like, sure. I'm not putting that on him because that feels unfair and that feels unjust. And I kind of just go back to the offseason in between, I want to say it was like 23 and 24 with JMO, right? I think that there were there were a lot of expectations for Jameson Williams in terms of, well, you got past the injury season, you came back at the end of your rookie year. Now, what are we going to see in year 2? And then it's the gambling stuff, and it's, the distractions, and it's the drops, and it's, a ton of different narratives. But he answers the bell. You know what I mean? And then I think you feel much better about Jameson Williams because you kept your expectations in check. And I think it's important to do that with Terrion and Arnold too. Not saying that like I'm down on the guy necessarily, but he just has so much room to prove who he is as a corner.
So Kerby Joseph is Taylor Decker, and Terrion Arnold is Jameson Williams. Got it.
Spider-Man memes all over the place.
I was gonna say, if Terrion Arnold turns into the Jameson Williams story, everybody's gonna be happier.
Yeah,
I think we'd all be
so much happier.
Jameson Williams signed a contract extension. If Terrion Arnold signs a contract extension, and you tell me this today, I'm like, Monday, June 8th, and you're like, Terrion Arnold will sign a contract extension with the Detroit Lions. I'd be like, whew, sweet. All right, the Lions got one.
Speaking of potentially signing a contract extension, I think that kind of transitions us over to Sam LaPorta, who also returned to the field. And while there's not as many, I don't think there's any question about Sam maybe even returning back to the type of player that he was pre-injury. But I think there's a lot of excitement about what this offense is going to look like once Sam is back in the lineup. Because I think, listen, as talented as Jahmyr Gibbs is, and we're going to talk about him a lot more in the second segment, obviously Amon-Ra being a top 5 wide receiver, Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra being probably a top 5 wide receiver duo, Jared Goff, orchestrating things, all of those things, losing Sam LaPorta had such a profound impact on this offense that I don't think people really realized in the moment, Jeremy, until it was starting to happen. And you started realizing oh, there's no one to kind of distract the defense from these other amazing weapons that this offense has.
Yeah, I think it exposed how important he was to what they do. It also, I think, on another level, and obviously this is paired with the injury to Brock Wright, how thin they were at tight end. They were just rolling out any names you could find there on the roster, and it didn't look good. And I'll say this, I think people are underestimating how good of news it was that he was out there on Thursday, because it showed, one, not only that he's getting closer to health, but everything we just said about Kerby Joseph, well, it's not worth it to push anything in the fall, in the early summer, because, you're doing stuff that you already know. Why risk anything? If the Lions are that comfortable with where Sam LaPorta is, that he's catching passes from Jared Goff this early in the offseason, there seems to be very little long-term concern here. And with a back injury, you never know, right? We don't have a ton of information on what he was dealing with, but I think there was always kind of a sense it wasn't a huge deal, and huge is certainly relative in this case because back injuries are never insignificant. But the fact that they're trusting him to put some reps out there in May, in June, when he doesn't need them necessarily, he certainly doesn't need the mental reps, I think that's a huge deal. And I think this team missed him more than most players that were injured last year because of his impact in the passing game, but I think even more so maybe in the run game. He was a guy that really, I thought, took a big step as a run blocker last year, and I can't point to anyone else on that roster last year at tight end that could come close to his impact in the run game. So that's to me, that's the best news of OTA so far.
Yep, you're muted.
Ryan, what was your overall thoughts on just Sam LaPorta being back at OTAs this early?
Seeing is believing, and I think that's part of what is causing so much consternation with Kerby Joseph, is that you're not even seeing what Brian Branch is putting out, right? At least with Brian Branch, we have a rehab video. We see him working and doing stuff. We don't see that with Kerby Joseph, but when you see Sam LaPorta come out to OTAs and he's catching passes, but most importantly too, Jeremy, right? He's on track. He said he wanted to be running by OTAs.
Yep.
Well, okay, we're right on track to having Sam LaPorta come back, and I think that there are a lot of things that you brought up. You can probably go back and do a lot of dot connecting with a lot of stats and how things started to shift for the Lions season when they lost Sam, and they lost Brock Wright, and they're down to Anthony Fersker and Ricci, and it'll be a trivia question in 10 years that only diehard Lions fans will know about the tight ends that were causing, illegal formations and false start penalties down the stretch for a team that really needs it, and I think that there's just as much to be said about that as to Miko's point, which is it's just less eye candy, right? You're able to key in and take away some other options when you don't have to worry about a big body guy like Sam LaPorta, who, the back stuff is of the utmost concern. But this is also a guy who's in a contract year, right? Like it pays for Sam LaPorta to be out there on that field and proving his worth and proving how valuable he is to not only the Detroit Lions, but this is a big year for Sam, like league wide. If Sam has a big season and the Lions wait to pay him, it's going to be expensive. Like it'll be expensive now in the here and now. I think it'll only be more expensive if you get to the end of the season and you have teams vying for him as I don't know, like when he's healthy, guys, Sam LaPorta is a top tight end in the NFL? 5?
I was literally thinking about that today. Top 3? Like when healthy?
He's up there.
Like I can
only 5 for sure.
Yeah, like so I'm right there with you, Ryan. Like I think it's important for him to be out there at least again showing the progress and at least kind of inching that much closer to being a full go come training camp and definitely come week 1. I think Jeremy, like you said, it's something that the Lions desperately need specifically for the run game. I think when you have so many like moving parts that are going to be on your offensive line already, which again, we're going to talk about that in the second segment, like you can't afford, I think, another piece to also like have a question mark about. And I think if you can go into the start of the regular season and at least know that your skill guys are all locked in, that you just know that like, hey, quarterback, running backs, receivers, and tight end are a go, and we're going to hopefully figure out this offensive line, and hopefully this offensive line is going to be good to go come week 1. Like, I think everything starts to feel a little bit better. You start to have a lot more confidence that like this group can go out there and perform at a high level, similar to that of Righteous Felon Craft Jerky, like a product that consistently performs each and every product that they put out there, whether it's meat sticks, whether it's new flavors of jerky. Like Righteous Felon is just up there when it comes down to high quality snacks. And the Pride of Detroit podcast is brought to you by Righteous Felon Craft Jerky. It's the jerky that fuels the Pride of Detroit POD cast. Each 2-ounce bag of jerky has 16 to 20 grams of protein, and each stick has 8 grams. Trust me, if it's good enough for the Lions, it's going to be good enough for you too. Righteous Felon is based in Westchester, Pennsylvania. They use locally sourced, all-natural Black Angus beef and prides itself on superior quality, revolutionary branding, and unique flavors that go beyond the stereotypical jerky offering. Like I said, this is one of the best protein snacks that I at least personally buy. And with me getting ready to go on 2 back-to-back road trips in the next couple of weeks, like I am going to make sure that our car is packed full. I don't know where my wife plans on putting her snacks, but between the meat sticks and the bags of jerky, the center console is already accounted for. That's where I will be having my Truffalo Bill. That's where I'm going to have my Godard garlic. That's where I'm going to have my Honey Heist meat sticks. My wife is just going to have to keep all of her snacks like just in her lap because there's just not going to be any room. And that's something that you can get for yourself if you go over to righteousfelon.com and use the promo code POD15 at checkout, because that's going to get you 15% off your order. That's an amazing savings. So go over to righteousfelon.com, use the promo code POD15 at checkout, and save pretty big on your next order at righteousfelon.com. With all that said, guys, when we come back, we're going to dive into Dan Campbell's recent comments about Jahmyr Gibbs and his usage, which might be taking a tick up. We're also going to talk about this new makeshift offensive line and how they're all kind of gelling together, as well as get into some of the comments from Derrick Barnes in his article or in his interview with Justin Rogers. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more right after this.
All right, we're on break, which, if this is your first time watching us, means we talk to our live audience. We'll thank some of our subscribers over on Twitch and YouTube, including a very interesting name that I haven't seen this way in quite some time. Let's start first with Captain James Kirk, who donated 25 bits and says, we need a Miko emote, which is very true.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you got to make a face. You got to make a face that's emotable. And I'm just not realizing that most of your head is off screen, so I'm going to bring it on screen.
What do you think that looks like, Miko?
There we go.
I don't know. I thought I had a pretty pretty emoteable face. I don't know. Like I don't. Yeah.
But you need to be making a face.
I don't show a lot, but I don't show a lot of expressions.
Well, it can't just have like a Miko looking straight at the camera emote doing nothing. No one's ever going to use it.
Sexy emote, if you ask me.
Well, you got to make a sexy face there.
Whoa. To insinuate that it isn't always a sexy face feels like a slap in the face, right, Miko?
That's wow.
It does.
You're just trying to stir the pot right now.
Yeah, I like having fun. I think a good emote.
I think Body Too Hottie might have it.
Well, what's his idea?
It's whatever face it is. It should be in the Bucky's onesie. So, which is not going to be today. It's hot as balls in here. Like I'm not throwing that thing off.
Do a little stinker. Is that the finger in the mouth? The little stinker pose?
No,
I'm not gonna do it because then people are gonna make emote out of me.
No,
do it. No, absolutely not.
I think a great emote would be like a bat signal for Miko, where like you get the silhouette of the face with the beard, and people can use that when they think that the ad transition is about to happen. You know what I mean? Like I have the tinfoil hat emote. Yep. Like that's my kind of bit, like conspiracy theorist wacko. Like I think you should have the bat signal emotes for Miko, where it's like, I feel a read coming on. Because people are doing it in the chat anyways.
They are.
Like,
they did it today.
They're doing it today where like they're trying to do transitions, and I saw somebody be like, "Stop it! That's Miko's job."
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. If there's any little graphic designers out there, I like it. All right. Karen, thank you for the 45 months. Says 5 Twitch babies and still no epidural. Impressive. Alex Reno with the 28 months subscribed to the channel. Shout out to Alex Reno. Haven't heard that name in quite some time.
Shout out to Alex Reno, baby number 2 on the way.
That's true. Breaking news. Also, if Alex, I don't know if you're in the chat or not, but I am about to get Twitch and YouTube chat to shame you because he was part of a charity stream for a different streamer, and if they had gotten to a certain goal while he was there, he promised to do a Twitch stream himself. All right, and I've offended Miko. I'm sorry.
Yes. Too much talking about Alex. He felt inadequate.
Well, oh gosh.
What's this going to do to the studio?
It's all broken.
Still going, right?
We'll just do this. This is fine.
Yeah.
Look, our names are here. That was like over a year ago, maybe even 2 or 3 years at this point, and he's still not done it. So I'm not calling it donation fraud, charity fraud. I'm not calling it that.
Yeah, because I mean, we've been known to, eventually make good on our promises.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Are you saying we need a website-wide accountability week?
Maybe. Wow, Captain James Kirk, how dare you? Must be a pride of Detroit thing. All right, now we gotta get everyone back in order. You go over here.
Oh, now I'm in the middle on my screen.
Hold on.
Did your internet cut out?
I think that's right. Nope.
I guess so.
Oh.
It was weird.
I figured you left to go get the Bucky's onesie.
Please tell me somebody didn't redeem that.
Not yet,
somebody please redeem it.
But your main objection to it right now probably means it's coming right around the corner. LJ, thank you for the 73 months subscribed on Twitch. That's all we got for alerts. We do have a couple of impromptu list casts, though.
Oh, yes. We haven't done those in a while.
One by Captain James Kirk, one by JC. I didn't see either of them list what it was, though.
I know what they are. Captain James T. Kirk wanted the top 5 tight ends in order.
Ooh, Okay.
which I like putting our feet to the fire because it really
Okay.
felt like we were doing that bit where it's like I can name 2 tight ends better than Sam LaPorta. I can name 3 tight ends better than Sam LaPorta. I can name 4 tight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and then the other one was Buc-ee's food items, best foods to try at Buc-ee's. I've never been to a
Oh,
Buc-ee's.
I've also never been to one, so that's Miko 100%.
All right, that's more homework for Miko.
Also, hold on, let me make sure I'm covering up addresses. We did get a package today, and I'm just gonna assume they're Buc-ee's Speedos, but I don't know that for sure.
Okay, hold on. So I think we need to put the listcast on pause for a minute, and that needs to be open. Don't
that's my
bury the
guess.
lead. Come on, we got to open it. I know it's a shot in the dark, but we all need to know now. Come on.
All right. Any other guesses before we get in? Like we were recently talking about these, and this was tipped off. I believe this is Madi Tuhati's work. Madi, are you here? I feel like I saw you earlier in chat.
Oh man, I don't have any other guesses, but I mean, I don't really have any other wishes either.
Yeah.
All right. I just hope there's one for all of us, if that's what it is. Because okay, Madi is here. It is definitely Buc-ee's related. I can confirm. Oh, is this just another? Wait, okay. What is this? This is just a sleeveless shirt, I believe.
Oh,
I'll go full screen.
Oh.
I'll go full screen for chat. Oh, that's not full screen. Full cam. Here we go. Yeah,
that's got to be for Miko to suns
show off
out,
the
guns
guns.
out. Oh yeah.
It's a large, if that helps.
Oh, it does. Okay. I was gonna say I couldn't tell if it was a small or a large.
I was hoping it was going to be a medium. Like that was going to be a look. Buc-ee's onesie just stretched out. Just.
It is not a Speedo, but it is a bathing suit.
It could be fashioned into a Speedo though, with just some scissors and.
Thank you,
Listen,
whoever
Jeremy,
that was. Wink.
If you can get those to me in the next week, I will literally wear those when we go to Florida, and I will take a picture.
Yes.
Yo, my earth. I'm on my way tonight.
Done. Yeah. He was there yesterday.
Couldn't find a Speedo. That's okay, Madi. We obviously appreciate anything sent to us. Which reminds you, if you ever get a wild inclination for whatever reason to send us anything, you can hit ! mailbox, or is it mail? It's either mail or mailbox. Mail. There you go. Or P.O. box. I think they both work, both on YouTube and Twitch. I am renewing our P.O. box for another year. This is our last month on our last year lease. I don't know why anyone would care about that, but felt like I wanted to share it anyways.
I forgot that you had to lease that.
Yeah, I have to. I pay for it. It's like $60. It's nothing.
Oh, it still seems like more than it should be.
Maybe. You have to have your picture taken with Buc-ee too. Are there Buc-ee's mascots at Buc-ee's? Or just like
mascots?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, is
Like
there a
human-
guy
like
in
human.
a Buc-ee's suit?
In a suit.
What? Say that again. Your internet is struggling. Are you there?
Mine?
Yes.
It's better now.
Okay. Yes, there is a guy in a Buc-ee suit.
All the
Buc-ee's.
time at Buc-ee's?
Yeah.
At every Buc-ee's.
Every
Really?
Buc-ee's I've ever been to.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, see, like
Yeah.
this feels like a store I can get behind just from like a labor perspective. Like they're keeping people employed. Like they got
Bro,
jobs.
I will take a picture. Because they actually like outside of a Buc-ee's at all the gas pumps, they literally like list how much they pay for every position.
Transparency.
And they-
I love it.
Buc-ee's ain't skipping out on people. Buc-ee's paying people well.
Dang. LJ says
movement I can get.
mascots on weekend, statue out front.
There's a statue out front too. Yeah.
Wait,
You can get everything at Buc-ee's.
I'm certain we've looked this up before, but where's the closest Buc-ee's to Michigan?
I believe there is now one in Ohio somewhere.
Just creeping their
I know
way
when
up,
we
or
had.
what?
Listen, I'm praying every day. I'm sacrificing. I'm sacrificing like high quality cedar wood to summon Buc-ee's to Michigan.
When you have a man of faith saying he's praying every day that Buc-ee's makes his way to Michigan, like this means something.
Mm-hmm. So it's literally salvation and then Buc-ee's. Like it's in that order. Yeah, I think there's one in Ohio. If there's not one in Ohio, the next closest one is in like Kentucky, which is the first one that we'll be hitting.
One of our listeners, Hardsticks, DM'd me a picture of himself with Buc-ee's. Do you guys want to see it?
Yes.
Given
Yeah.
permission to share it on screen, to be clear as well. So, there you go. That's great.
Yeah, see?
I can't believe they literally have them on hand. Just a mascot. They treat their own gas station like it's an amusement park, and I respect the hell out of that.
It basically is. It's like a fairground. Like it's awesome.
That is phenomenal. I love it.
It's great.
I'm all for it.
I am too. Whoops. All right. So I think this is a good transition into Miko now helping us in our first Buc-ee's encounter. What are the top 5 food items to get at a Buc-ee's, Miko?
Okay. So I'm gonna start at 5 and say, just get it out the way. Beaver nuggets.
Okay.
Beaver nuggets are like a staple that you have to get. It's basically like if you guys remember like the Pop cereal.
The corn pops.
Basically,
Yeah.
yeah. It's basically like that, except one, they're bigger and they're just like covered in like this caramely sugar.
Ooh.
They are addicting. Like it's so good.
And this is number 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dang.
At number 4, I'm gonna go with. Oh, this one is good. I'm gonna go with the Texas cheesesteak burrito.
Texas. There's a lot going on there, Miko. You're gonna have to unpack that.
So I'm reading this off of Google, so because it's fantastic. It's a massive favorite, loaded with tender beef, cheese, and peppers. It's so good.
I immediately have a question.
Yep.
Because I've never been inside of Buc-ee's. This is not like food that's sitting out. Do you have to order this?
No, dude, there are literally people in the middle that are like carving meat. Like cooking and carving meat.
Okay.
At that time.
So this is not like a 7-Eleven
like,
stuff that's been under a heat lamp or
On a roller for
like there's stuff
8 hours.
No, they are like consistently rotating stuff out. Like
okay.
Like they will even yell out fresh brisket on the board like when there's new brisket. Like it's a whole war cry.
This is a general store.
Right.
This is a general store.
I think we're doing a road trip during this little like dead period that's coming up in a month.
I'm on board. I'm sold, and we've gotten through 2 items.
All right. Man, it's so tough because there's so many good things. Pork sandwich.
Pork sandwich.
Classic pork sandwich.
It's fantastic. Just a classic pulled pork sandwich. It's fantastic.
Does anything else come on it? Is there like onion straws, a pickle,
Coleslaw.
No, I think it's just like a mound of meat.
Okay.
Like I think you can get like I do think you can get like barbecue sauce on it, but like their pulled pork is just so good.
Okay.
And then next I'm gonna combine these two at 2. But it's basically their chopped or their sliced brisket sandwich. You will be hard pressed to find better brisket. Just like out there. It's so good.
I've heard this a million times, and it's still very hard for me to believe that a gas station has unbeatable brisket, but keep an open eye. Keep it an open mind.
And then okay. Number 1. This is what it's called. Okay. It's called the Big Buckin Brisket Sandwich Double XL. So it's basically the brisket sandwich, but you just get even more meat on it. Like I think it definitely has the brisket on it, but they also add on smoked turkey. And I think they will also add, I'm reading here, sometimes they will also add like jalapeno cheddar sausage. But it's so good.
I'm looking at a photo of it, and it's insane. Is there an egg on it too?
this
Not the one that I've never had one with an
thumbnail
egg on it.
is very funny. Thing is huge. It does. Is this real? This is the one with sausage on it. I don't know if this is real.
So
$13.13.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Dang.
Man, dude, I'm looking at this chopped brisket sandwich, and it looks like it's got some peppers on it.
Oh, I forgot one. Their beaver chips are good too. So like you can get like they make like their own like kettle like chips that you can get. Those are so good.
Chet's also hyping up their banana pudding.
I don't think I haven't had their banana pudding yet. I don't think I have. I've also like so you'll also hear people rave about their you'll hear people rave about their fudge. I'm not a big fudge person, so I've never tried it. But supposedly that's really good. They have like their own like craft sodas and stuff like that. Those are really good. They have like a cherry limeade soda or something like that. That's really good. It's awesome.
They have breakfast brisket tacos.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh.
I mean, good Lord. Slow smoked brisket tucked inside a soft, warm flour tortilla, available from 4 a.m. every single day.
Listen, if you guys decide to go down during the dead period, I'm gonna need you guys to swing by my place.
Pick you up.
You're not gonna be able to stop because I'm going to be running from my family because they're gonna want to go too, and I'm just gonna have to like hop in.
we don't have that many seats. Yeah, it's like instead of women and children first, this is the reverse. We're going to Buc-ee's. Every man for themselves. Yeah, I'm there.
I only have one more follow-up question. And it's Buc-ee's related. So like Sheetz has now expanded to Michigan. Has anyone been to one, and what can you tell me about it? Does it come anywhere close to Buc-ee's?
It's number 2 on my list.
I've never been to
it's number 2.
Before.
Oops, sorry.
It's number 2 best gas station that I've ever been to.
Have you ever been to a Wawa or no?
Yeah, so people on the East Coast will probably like fight you between like Wawa and Sheetz.
Sure. Yeah, I went to one when the draft was in Philly. Went to a Wawa, and people swear by Wawas, and it's good. I don't think I've ever gotten food from Wawa though. I've gotten like actual Sheetz has amazing breakfast burritos, and they're like massive. any place that has a breakfast burrito deserves a place to do.
And you can like customize it. It's like full on like make your own.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, no, Sheets is good.
Do they have like some preloaded like templates of different burritos, or is it strictly just like build your own?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, no, I think they also have a couple.
Because there is part of me sometimes like when I go to a place and I want to like get their food, I want to get something that's like established on the menu, and sometimes it's like I don't know. Like that was kind of one of my big reservations about Pita Way for a minute. Is while they do have the like different bowls that have different ingredients, like pre-selected, there is a little bit of like, oh man, like I don't know what to pick, I don't know what I should put in it, kind of thing. So I can kind of feel, yeah.
The first time I ever went to Sheets, so like people that I used to work with at my last job, like swore by it, right? Because they were like, anytime they had to go travel down to like one of our offices in like Ohio, they were like, yo, you got to check out a Sheets. It's like the greatest place ever. And so what everybody told me to get was a breakfast burrito. They were like, just get a breakfast burrito and literally just like customize it however you want. And it was fantastic. I think I had been to a Sheets before I had been to a Buc-ee's. And I could not believe that like food like that came from a gas station.
Okay. The only thing I know about Sheets is that their advertising annoys me. Like the billboards that are like, "Hey, what's a croissant?" I'm like, I don't know, and I don't just tell me. Just like don't make up food names.
Just show me.
Just tell me. I'm not gonna go into your store and be like, "Hey, what is a Quonsec? Do you guys have Quonsecs?" Like no. Tell me what the food item is. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Like,
no, I don't see those. Are you seeing a lot of billboards
seen them
now that's in Michigan?
Yeah.
So yeah, Ryan, you can basically
Sweets.
They have like a bacon, egg, and cheese burrito.
A Sweets.
So you can get like the classics: bacon, egg, and cheese, sausage, egg, and cheese, and then they have like a Western burrito.
Sold. It's got I'm assuming peppers and stuff in it.
Yeah. Breakfast quesadillas. They have like, it's kind of like, it even has like Starbucks vibes because they like make like, they have like specialty like coffees and lemonades, and it's just great. It's a nice place.
You have to check it out. I don't know where the closest one is to me. I mean, I want to look that up.
There's one by the airport, which is pretty close to me.
I was gonna say, wait a couple weeks, and one is just gonna pop up next, and you'll be like, oh, that's like, there's literally 2 out here in Macomb County that I know of that are simultaneously being built.
Oh my god, I'm looking. Someone sent us a video of British people trying a Buc-ee's. And I mean, it's packed like it's a Trader frickin' Joe's.
Dude, they have everything. You can get home decor at Buc-ee's. You can buy a full-on smoker grill at Buc-ee's.
That's crazy. Oh yeah, you guys have a Sheets in Ypsilanti, huh?
Yeah. Don't dox me.
Well, I mean, it's just Ypsilanti's close to you.
Too late. Too late. All right. Some people have some actual Lions questions. Unless there's anything else. Wait, we did have one more. The top 5.
Yeah, we got the tight ends.
Also, someone did indeed request you to put on the Buc-ee's onesie. You can thank TayG08 for that one.
I was really hoping to like not have to just sit here in a onesie.
Good thing is that you can probably keep it modified like you had it last time.
I mean, it does unzip from the bottom, so I can just kind of like get a nice little cross breeze going.
Oh man, POD after dark. Here we go. Oh, Marty, What a brilliant use of your points. Nice job.
God, I want to reject it. I want to reject it so bad.
Go get changed, brother.
You're muted, Miko, first of all. And I can see you saying nope anyways.
No. Yeah, because if you're going to reject that one, you got to reject mine too.
But here's the thing. I don't have air conditioning on right now. If you can, like, look at the reflectiveness of my forehead and how I'm already
Look at the reflectiveness
moist.
of my entire head.
Well, that's different, though.
You guys are
Pause.
beautiful. You guys are beautiful, and you're going to be even more beautiful once you get all dressed up. So
I can't even
All
get
right,
mad at
Ryan,
Marty.
give
He
your
sent
top 5.
He sent us free things.
yeah, guys, go change. Think over your top 5 tight ends.
Can I trust you to have the stream by yourself, Ryan?
Maybe.
God dang it! All right, I'm redeeming it.
Are you going to put Hunter Henry in your top 5?
Maybe. Just
Just maybe.
I pulled up a tight end like fantasy list, and he's 19, so he's still got some value to some people apparently.
Which is crazy because how long ago is that stream? That stream was a
6
while
years ago.
Oh, like try 10.
Let's see when Hunter Henry tore his ACL.
I think it was like 2017. 2016, 2017?
2018.
Okay.
8 years
Yeah.
ago.
It's a long time ago.
Anyways. Yes, the YouTube chat shows up on screen, right? There you are down over there.
Hunter Henry's been in the league so long, he played for the San Diego Chargers his rookie season. There he is. I like how the headphones go on over the beaver head. You're muted.
again.
And I can still hear perfectly fine.
I'd rather put on the Bucky's.
The ears of a beaver.
Be careful what you ask for, Jeremy. Because I might come back with 2 Bucky's onesies.
Good point, MJ Campbell. If you can't trust me, who can you trust? Doom, 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 doom. Did you see JC's comment, Nico? He said you can't call Bucky's second to Jesus and then not put on the onesie.
That's fair.
Oh man.
Because if I had a Jesus onesie, I would absolutely throw that on.
There you go. It'd be in the closet right next to. Is that sacrilegious to have the Bucky's onesie too close to the Jesus onesie?
I'd put like a sweatshirt in between the 2 of them to kind of create some division.
Oh man, feels. You put enough space that it'd be comfortable at a high school dance. You know.
Yeah. A good amount of separation of like church and beaver.
The separation of church and business. The separation of church and economy.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it does sound like Bucky's is about as close to heaven on earth. Sounds like Bucky's might be that.
I'm just gonna let the.
All you gotta do is try one brisket sandwich.
How you doing, brother?
Terrible. I'm gonna be sweating so hard in the second segment.
That wig looks so hit, man, from the front. Like it's like
Yeah.
you
I've had it for how
It's
long
giving
now?
Weird Al vibes.
We have the top 5 tight end list. We have Dylan Larkin if we want to make small talk of that at some point. But I do have a great
I can.
I do have a great Macho Man, a Jace story to share real quick. It's your favorite topic,
for it.
Jeremy. It's Spider-Man film.
Great.
So the original one that was directed by Sam Raimi.
Yep.
And has Macho Man Randy Savage in as
bone saw or whatever.
Bonesaw.
So if you recall, like at that point, like Peter has his powers. Like he knows that he's got something going on, right? But when that match starts, Peter's getting his butt kicked. Like Bonesaw is giving it to him. Like he's beating the crap out of Peter. And everybody's like, how would that happen? Peter has his powers. Like why would, like it doesn't make sense, like from a like logical standpoint. Like Peter should not be just getting his butt kicked by Bonesaw. But then the theory is that, especially because of his spidey senses, right? Like he should be able to know when Bonesaw's going to hit him. He's just a human. Mm-hmm. No, Peter Parker thinks wrestling is real. Or no, sorry.
He thinks it's fake.
He thinks it's fake.
He thinks it's fake.
So Peter thinks his spidey senses thinks that wrestling is fake, but it's not fake, brother. It's very real when you get inside the ring with Bonesaw. So that's how you explain away that plot hole. It's not a plot hole.
Great.
Oh yeah, and the Hammond Bears. Like we don't. I think it's hilarious. The day, was it even the day after the Madden cover dropped of Caleb Williams over the Chicago skyline?
Man,
the announcement that it's not going to be the Chicago skyline. You're moving to Hammond, Indiana. Oof.
Shout out to Hammond. I had never heard of it before a few weeks ago. Like,
sorry,
you're quite literally on the map now.
Now I gotta like Google, like, what is Hammond, Indiana known for?
Being on the border of Indiana and Illinois. That's
people
about it.
People driving by it and being like, wow, look at all the factories. Tough. I feel bad.
So I put this on the website, but like, let's say the Lions move their stadium, not the entire team, just like the Bears, just Ford Field goes to Toledo. Are you still gross. A Detroit Lions fan? It's a little bit different because Toledo's like double the distance that Hammond, Indiana is, but
I mean, yes, because like for me, like I've had family that lives or lived in Toledo for like most of my life, so it'd be fine. But like, I couldn't get over the fact that it's in Ohio. Like that part would eat at me.
Yeah. The other comp is like just throw it over at Windsor, but it's obviously a little different because international, you can't just like cross the border and not have anything to, you can drive just through Indiana and Illinois. Can't just drive into Windsor without complications.
Yeah, that would probably piss me off more than the Toledo thing. The fact that I need an updated passport just to go watch the Lions play.
Yeah, that would be more upsetting. But I mean, it's no worse than what everybody's going through in New York tonight for Game 3, which is, players were being told to pack light because like the players are all being subjected to the stuff. Like reporters aren't able to get like pre-game locker room access that they've gotten all year. No watch parties outside. It's cool. It's awesome. There was a Toledo war though, so at least it feels like Toledo at least belonged to Michigan, even though, it really didn't at one point, right? Like,
right. Okay.
So I think the distance isn't as much of a problem.
Right.
I don't think.
And to be clear, like, because some people in chat are getting the wrong idea. We're not making them the Toledo Lions. They are still the Detroit Lions. They still practice in Allen Park. They're still... Everything about them is the Detroit Lions except for the city in which they play, which is in Toledo.
I would just need to know what happened. Like what led the Lions to moving their stadium to like
Toledo.
Who in their right mind would think that's a good idea? But like And the Lions didn't play in Pontiac.
Right.
It's like a good 25, 30 minutes outside of Detroit. Like,
Yeah. I bet you'd like them to move back, wouldn't you?
give me the Lions back in Pontiac. Give me the Pistons back in Auburn Hills.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
I'll dox you.
Yes, I live in Pontiac.
Ish.
Ish.
All right.
I was going to say, you know who can relocate? The Detroit Red Wings. I don't care. Send them to Atlanta. Atlanta deserves another stab at a hockey team.
You have, like, your disdain for everything the Red Wings have been for the past decade-ish could, like, fuel a city. Could just forget data center. You just somehow harness the energy of Ryan's hatred of the Red Wings into an energy source, and like we wouldn't need data centers anymore.
On the list of things that I would ever want to be compared to in my life, a data center is probably top 3 that I would not want. Like, I can say that with certainty. Ouch. Ouch.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. No, that's the thing. I'm very conflicted. But the thing is that, like, my disdain is for everybody. Like, and I hate how people have picked sides, and I hate the way that people have completely 180'd on Dylan Larkin. Like, an hour before that news comes out that he's demanding to be traded, you could ask every single Red Wings fan, like, is Dylan Larkin a piece of this team moving forward for it to be like a playoff winning Stanley Cup contending team? And I would venture to guess that over 95% of them are like, yes, that guy is important to what the Red Wings do. And that report comes out, and it's immediately, he's soft. Oh my gosh, what's happening to the NHL? It's becoming the NBA. Like, these superstars think they can just force their way out. Oh, he wants to go play with all of his buddies from Team USA. You know, he doesn't deserve to be the captain. Get real. Like, be honest. You know what I mean? Like, that just feels like way too much. That feels... That's a bridge too far. And, like, I'm somebody who has been, like, highly critical of, like, what Steve Yzerman's done. And I think that he's getting off, like, scot-free in a lot of ways. That, like, I think you can be upset with Dylan Larkin's decision, but you also have all the room to be upset with Steve Yzerman letting it get to this point.
I certainly am not taking sides on this situation because I'm not informed enough to do so. But I have 2 points I want to make. One is that something that I've heard Justin Rogers utter several times and rings very true to me, is that fans are always going to side with the team over the player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In general, it's just how it works. You turn on Taylor Decker in an instant. You turn on, you know, the one time I feel like it didn't happen this offseason was Dave Montgomery. I feel like people didn't really turn on Dave Montgomery.
They were sad, but they weren't like angry, right? Or upset.
Yeah.
But, like, they didn't vilify him.
We've seen people turn on Frank Ragnow. We've seen people turn on Barry when he retired, Calvin Johnson when the money stuff was happening. Like, it doesn't matter how good you are.
That's true.
Like, if you do something that people view as harmful to the team in any sort of way, they will turn on you. Jamal Williams, like one of the most beloved guys ever, decides not to come back and kind of says something, throws a little bit of shade at Detroit on the way out. They're done.
I mean, sports are just, I think, for the most part, and I think what's unique here too, like the Lions, yes, I mean, they're so embedded in what the city of Detroit and the state of Michigan sports as a whole are, but like Red Wings are a original 6 hockey team, right? Like, it's like, you want to talk about like tradition and Hockey Town and all this stuff, right? Like, it's very jingoistic. You know what I mean? It's very like blind belief in like, no, like that winged wheel means more than anything. And like, I think that's where it comes into, you have a guy who was born in Waterford, grew up a Red Wings fan, went to the University of Michigan, became the captain of the Detroit Red Wings. Like, how could he ever?
Yep.
How could that person, whether it's Dylan Larkin or you just describe a player, right? Generic player A has done all of those things. They're the captain of the Red Wings, and now they want to be traded. That person's the problem. They're the traitor. They're the one who, couldn't put up any points in March, or, it feels as like a very, and like, I can't believe that, like, people, like, Larkin has that injury down the stretch, right? Works his way to come back and plays, and he's obviously not the player that he should be. He's not playing at full strength.
Yep.
And people are just so easy to just back up on him and dump on him. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
They conveniently forget. They want to paint this picture of, oh, this is the guy who, didn't even carry his own weight down the stretch. He's the reason why the Red Wings didn't make the playoffs. It's like, dude, you're the same guy that was making excuses about how he was injured and how you can't put everything all on him. And what about the rest of the team? And, like, I don't know.
My only overall take is just like, it sucks that the Red Wings have gotten to this point, that a hometown hero, a captain of this team, no longer wants to be part of this organization. And it's not like, we talked a little bit at off stream, and it's drawn a lot of comparisons to the Jared Goff or the Matthew Stafford situation. And the one thing that I don't feel like it matches 1-to-1 is, like, I don't know if there's going to be a lot that we can look back on the Dylan Larkin era and be like, well, he made Red Wings hockey fun again. Like, he made them fun to watch each week. Like,
oh yeah,
no, we never got that era with Dylan Larkin. His era of Detroit, assuming they do trade him, like, goes with very little team accomplishments. And while, like, yeah, the Lions never won a Super Bowl under Matthew Stafford, like, he did make games really fun. He did, that 2016 season was insane, right? Like, we had these high, exciting games where the Lions were competitive. They were getting to the playoffs 3 times. It felt like they were in every game. And you felt like, okay, he put in his time. We had some good times here. Like, go off and chase the Super Bowl. With Dylan, it's just like, you were here. You were pretty darn good, but it never got us anywhere close to anything. And now you don't want to see this through. And it was, and it's, I don't know if the Red Wings are, like, any closer to where they've been. Like, are they actually building up? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But it doesn't feel like, well, 2026 was the Red Wings' last shot, and now they're rebuilding, like it was with Stafford, right? Like, well,
yeah,
you had that one last shot with Patricia. Now we have to start all over again. There's not that clear, at least to me. Again, I don't know the Red Wings situation that much. Like, there isn't like, well, this is a natural jump off point for Larkin, anyways. Like, I don't sense that unless there's something I don't know about the story.
This is the comparison that you can make to Matthew Stafford. Because I agree with you. Like, you want to look back on what Dylan Larkin has done. Last time the Red Wings made the playoffs was Dylan Larkin's rookie season.
Right.
In 2015, 2016. So, like, it was a while ago. And since then, it, like, the most excitement was what, 2 years ago, where it's like, oh, it's the final game. If they win this, they can make the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like, any hockey kid, any just, like, Detroit sports fan, any Michigan sports fan, like, absolutely spoiled with what the Red Wings did when we were growing up. But the comparison to Stafford and Larkin is that it's very clear that Stafford wasn't going to stick around for another rebuild, right? Where it's like the team's timeline didn't align with the player's timeline. It's the same exact thing that's happening with Dylan, where he's 29, he's going to be 30 this summer. And then you have Raymond and Sider, who are like 23, 24. You have younger guys, and then you have all these prospects that you've drafted. But, like, Larkin's the outlier, is like, well, he turns 30. And that's always been, I think, that's drawn the ire of Red Wings fans, where it's like, okay, is this rebuild on Dylan's timeline, or is it on the younger core's timeline?
Right.
And that's where, like, the Lions, it was like Matthew Stafford's like, I've done this multiple times. I'm at my wit's end. I'm out of here, kind of thing. Where it's like, I think a lot of people understood at least where Matthew Stafford was coming from. Nobody understands where Dylan Larkin's coming from for the most part, right? Like everybody has turned him into the villain, where like I do understand Dylan Larkin's frustration, where it's like, if I'm not part of this team's timeline, then yeah, move on from me. Like trade me somewhere else where, you know, I've won the gold medal. I've experienced what that success is like. They had like that weird exchange at the end of the season last year where like Larkin said something in his, you know, end of the season comments where he's like, I wish we would have got a little bit more help in the locker room. And then Steve Yzerman in his press conference, he's like, well, I'm kind of counting on the guys that were paying money, like to be the people to step up. And it's like, the fact that people were shocked when this happened is like, well, you haven't been paying attention to like what's kind of been bubbling underneath the surface for quite some time. It's just, I don't think anybody thought with that player I described and their backstory, that would ever happen.
No, but I think there's two things that I at least question. And the first one I think is the most obvious that I kind of agree with you. Like the people seem to be glossing over is that like homegrown players that have the track record, that have the story that Dylan Larkin don't walk away from teams that they still believe in. And so I think like that's the overarching, like you could like how people feel about him as a player, like sure, feel how you want to feel about him as a player and what he has or has not achieved for the Wings. But I think you do at some point in time got to ask yourself, like, if the vision was that solid, if it was that easy to just like buy in, would a guy like that be jumping ship? If it was so clear and it was so obvious that like, oh, this is the path to success, right? Same thing like you guys said, like with Matthew Stafford, like that's eventually what it got to, is like with Stafford, where it was just like, it's probably not even necessarily that he didn't believe in like Brad Holmes or Dan Campbell's vision, but it's just like, hey, I don't know if I want to go through that again.
Well, at that point,
like,
he had the back injury too. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it was kind of like Stafford was on the, I don't want to say decline, but he's on the other side of his career at that point.
Yeah.
Larkin's just getting to that point, right? He's 29, turning 30. So it's like you assume he's in the prime of his career. This isn't Matthew Stafford in the prime of his career demanding to be out.
Yeah. But I think like I think that's what makes me question like what the plan forward looks like, because whatever it is, he doesn't feel like, oh, it's going to maximize those prime years. Like whatever, like the grass looks greener wherever he's looking, where it's like whatever the plan is here, I like what it looks like over in these specific places. But then the other part that I do question, or at least I'd be curious about, Ryan, your opinion is like, do you think people would be so against Dylan Larkin if it wasn't Steve Yzerman that was like in charge of putting this team together? Because I feel like you said it earlier, like there is absolutely like there's something about the Wings as an organization where like it's probably going to rub some people wrong. Like, how do you not want to be a part of this like historic franchise? But if this was a team that was ran by Joe Schmo and was like and had the track record that it's had the last few years, and your star player was saying like, hey, I want out, would people still have that same ire? Or is it the fact that it's historic franchise by historic like franchise player that people are like, oh, not only are you giving up on the Wings, but you're giving up on the guy?
It's a lot easier to criticize Brad Holmes than it is to criticize Steve Yzerman for that exact reason, right? Like he has this like baked in legacy with the team that he's running, you know? And I think there's been so many people who are like, it's patience, it's the Yzer plan, it's you gotta wait. And then it feels like this is the ultimate egg in his face where it's like, okay, you did all that waiting. We're still here. We haven't seen this team make it to the playoffs. And now the guy, when you took over with this team, he wants out. I just don't understand the mental gymnastics it takes to be like, well, Larkin's 100% the fault. Get him out of here, right? Like, yeah. Yzerman deserves none of this blame. Like, there's so many reports, Minko, that you see of people talking about, especially in light of this news, where they're like, Steve Yzerman, if he was Joe Schmo, he would have been fired years ago. And it's like he's getting kind of the courtesy of, you know, this leniency, Jeremy, that like.
But at this point, it just feels like leniency from ownership. Like
100%. Yeah.
Like I
Not
don't
the
think
fans.
there are a ton of fans that are behind Yzerman at this point.
No, but when they're forced to choose sides like this,
Right.
You're seeing what's happening. To Miko's
course.
point, right? Like
Yes.
it's like, well, we'll go with Yzerman because he won us cups. Larkin hasn't won anything. Sucks. It sucks. That's the thing and you said that earlier, Jeremy. Like all this,
Yeah.
it just sucks.
It just sucks.
But like,
it just sucks at the franchise at this point.
The thing I hate is that people who are twisting themselves into knots, being like, "This isn't no, it's fine." Like they're going to trade Larkin, and they're going to get stuff for him. Like, do you know how no trade clauses work? Like, there's a list of teams that Dylan Larkin says, "I'll go to these teams."
Right, you lose all your leverage.
You lose a lot of leverage, but then there's so many people who are like, "Fine, just sit him. He can sit. You want that brewing in your team?" Anytime Steve Yzerman makes any public appearance, anytime anybody from that organization steps in front of a microphone, like, "So what's up with Dylan? What's going on with Larkin? Why isn't he playing? Is he going to play?"
Yeah, that's gonna be.
That's not going to happen. Like, so that's like pretending like you have some modicum of leverage. Like, that's just a PR nightmare.
Yeah.
So it sucks.
Fun times in Detroit sports. Hey, but Tigers have won like 5 out of their last 6. Maybe even more than that. 6 out of the last 7. I mean,
Scooble pitched the other night.
I saw that like tickets to that Budheads game or whatever was like $200.
It was insane. Like somebody was saying, like typically it's like $50 to $60 to like sit behind home plate, and those tickets were like $600. And I think it was like single A ball too.
Oh really? Was it not Mudhens? It was whatever.
I think it was the Whitecaps.
The Whitecaps. Whitecaps.
West Side.
Shout out. I don't think I've ever said this on stream, but there was one point, God, probably 7 years ago by now, that someone from the Toledo Mudhens reached out to us and was like, "Hey, if you ever want to like record in a box here, you can." You remember that?
I remember that. Yeah.
And I think we were just trying to find an excuse to do it, and then we never did. I wonder if I can find that email. Was it the Mudhens or was it someone else?
No, I'm pretty sure it was the Mudhens.
Man, I don't even know. I can't find it. Either way. I would have loved to do it. So if you're still a listener, person who sent that invite,
Bring it on home.
bring it on home.
Do we have top 5 tight ends in us too? This is turning into quite some break.
It really is.
I can rattle mine off pretty quickly.
All right. I'll let you go for it.
I'm gonna go Kelsey at 5. I'm gonna go.
I don't think Travis Kelce is gonna be in my top 5. I'm just gonna spoil it.
This is more so off of like, also like notoriety of like who I know is still like
Sure.
kind of good.
Sure.
So, Kelsey at 5, Pitts at 4, LaPorta at 3, McBride at 2, and then Bowers at 1.
Okay.
I know Tyler Warren is like supposedly really good, like up and coming tight end.
Mm-hmm.
I know Harold Fannin had a pretty good season for the Browns, but like, yeah, tight end's kind of one of those positions. Like, I don't know. Do like either of you like believe in Colston Loveland enough to put him in your top 5?
I think as a Lions fan, I'm not allowed to.
I'm not ready to put any 1-year player in that list yet. So I don't think I'm gonna have him. I'm not gonna have Warren or Fannin. Are those all the 2025 draft class guys? Dang, that's a pretty good draft class.
That is a pretty good class. 'Cause there's actually one guy on my list. I mean, it depends on how he comes back from his ACL. But I'd have Tucker Kraft in my top 5.
Yeah, Kraft is one I'm maybe putting at 5.
Yeah. I think the other thing with tight ends too is I definitely lean more towards the guys who can do more than just catch the ball, right? I think we all know how important that is for tight ends. So it's like it's not as simple as like sort list by receptions.
Right. Which is, I mean, like that's what makes George Kittle such a unicorn. Is like he is like a highlight blocker, which is. But again, like he's turning 33 this year, and he's coming off an Achilles, and
there are a lot of those guys, right?
Yeah.
It seems like a generation of tight ends is kind of aging themselves out. Like,
yeah,
that's
Lions,
something that like
legends, Zach Ertz.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing that makes it like tough with tight ends because like, yes, you have like this young crop of tight ends. But that's why I feel like my top 3 is pretty locked in. Like Bowers, McBride, LaPorta seem like sure things as like the top tight ends. But then like everything gets like a little murky because like you have like Jeremy saying you have a bunch of guys that have maybe had like 1 or 2 good years, but then like Kittle when healthy is still a dog. Like Dallas Goedert is still doing good things in Philly and probably would do better if you know he was being targeted more. Mark Andrews is still like very impactful.
Yep.
Like it's weird.
Mm-hmm.
You got a list? Yep, Ryan.
I would. I'd put Tucker Kraft 5. I think I'd put Sam LaPorta 4. Trey McBride 3. Brock Bowers is number 1. I feel like maybe I just need to move everybody up 1 rung.
Yeah.
And then maybe put like an honorary member there. Like I don't like George Kittle at this point coming back from like Achilles seems tough. Like, Travis Kelce isn't really the same Travis Kelce he was before. So like do you just give it to a guy like Dalton Schultz? Right? Like he's had productive years.
Not Kyle Pitts. What's happening here?
I'm not trying to further an agenda.
You just think of him as a wide receiver. I got it.
Kind of. Yeah, I mean, if we're being honest, yeah. But you know what's funny, Jeremy? You know who is second in total EPA among tight ends last year?
Who's that?
Hunter Henry.
Bring it back. Bring it back.
See, you were always right.
I was always right. Never wrong, just early.
Caught 60 passes last year for 768 yards. 7 touchdowns.
I knew he was a talented player. If only I had known he torn his ACL during OTAs in the summer of 2018. Man. Who in chat even gets that reference? Who was around in 2018 listening to the POD cast 8 years ago?
Who were around long enough to know the genesis of listcasts. You know what's crazy though? Like TJ Hawkinson not even being like a thought on any of our lists. Boy, is that one that Brad Holmes got right, huh?
A little bit by luck, sure. But yep.
I was gonna say, like, do we think he would like I don't know if TJ's ever really bounced back from that knee injury.
I mean, it's certainly a big factor, right?
No doubt. And now he'll be, what, a year and a half away from it. So, like, he could jump back. How old is he? He's probably not much past. He's still only 28. He'll be 29 next month. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he's like a top 10 statistical tight end next year. But it does feel like we're in an era of really good tight ends right now. because I do think like that 2025 draft class, like I would not be surprised if Loveland is a top 5 statistical. Tyler Warren, Fannin, like all those guys could be up there, along with Brock Bowers, who's entering year 3. And Trey McBride's still relatively young. He's 26, entering year 5. Like, it's kind of an insane, and obviously Sam LaPorta is part of that too. He'll be his 4th year, but I'm just gonna throw together a list real quick because I think Brock Bowers 1, Trey McBride 2.
You thinking about putting them there?
Sam LaPorta 3, Tucker Kraft 4. And I'll just, because I feel like I'm being a homer by putting Sam LaPorta that high, I'll put Colson Loveland 5.
It's interesting. Yeah, there are a lot of guys from that class. Like Tyler Warren's really interesting. See where things go from here, because they shelled out big time for Alec Pierce, right? Like he stayed in Indianapolis, I think.
That's right. Yeah.
It's just like an interesting.
We didn't even get to talk.
Yeah, interesting target share in Indianapolis.
No doubt.
We didn't even talk about the Drake London contract.
It's a good position to play. I'll just say that.
Great position to play. Like it feels like quarterback from like a few years ago, where it's like if you're just like if you're a starter, you're gonna get paid.
It feels like just kind of that boom of defensive tackles right when Aleem got paid, where it's just like, are we gonna course correct at some point and like drag this down a little bit because it seems high.
Yeah.
Well, do you think that might end up being the case with tight end after the contract that Darnell Washington got? Look, I love Darnell Washington. I would love if Darnell Washington played for the Detroit Lions, but 4 years, $42 million. I think that makes him the 12th highest paid tight end in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, you're young.
You ostensibly can play tackle.
Yeah. He's a really cheap tackle.
Yeah, that's, you know what? And he can catch a passer too. So, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I was not like, a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, how much? Like, why do you give that much money to Darnell Washington? It's like, because Darnell Washington moves people, and that's a big part of the position.
He's Dan Skipper, is what you're saying. Catches a pass every now and then and can move people.
That is so insulting to Darnell Washington. It's insane.
Hey, don't be insulting to Dan Skipper. He will call you out on Twitter, as we have learned.
He will, but I need to see Dan Skipper run a 4.64.
I'll ask him on Thursday.
Okay. Let me know. Let me know if he can broad jump over 10 feet. And if he has a 31-inch vertical.
Listen, just tackle receiver eligible guys. That's all I'm talking about.
Gosh, it's one that got away. I wanted Darnell Washington so bad.
All right.
You and me both.
I think it's time to get back into the show. I was sweating so bad I had to take my jacket off. Now we're rolling sleeveless. And quite frankly, I just want to
go home.
I just want to stand in front of a fan for the next 75 minutes.
That's fair.
I would do it on stream, but the noise of the fan would be
fair.
I want to be here. So I want to hang out with chat and you guys in that order.
It's okay, Jeremy. When I get back from Florida, you'll get a Buc-ee's onesie just like me, and you can just unzip it from the bottom.
We can only hope.
All right. Ready for segment 2?
I am. Ooh.
And welcome back to the Pride of Detroit PODcast. Here in segment 2, we are going to be talking about some of the latest news surrounding Jahmyr Gibbs. Dan Campbell had a chance to talk to the media and made sure to highlight his star running back. But I think it's got us all questioning what the Lions' plans probably are for Jahmyr and whether or not he's necessarily ready for that, workhorse type of workload, Jeremy, when the Lions kind of roll into this next upcoming season. Where do you kind of land on that one?
Well, I'll say this first. I was kind of surprised to hear Dan Campbell say what he did. For the past, 4 years, they've been like, hey, we're all about running back by committee. We want to make sure our players are playing their best once it comes to December and January football. We think, we never want to put too much of a workload on these guys so that they're fresh. And so for him to come out and say like, oh yeah, by the way, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be our bell cow back this year. Like, we're going to put more on his plate. He did some of it last year. We're going to put even more on it. I was just like, oh, okay. I get it. I get it in a lot of ways, right? Like, guy's averaging 5.3 or something yards per carry for his career, and you want to put you put the ball in your playmakers' hands. And, if you want to compare his touches to some of the best running backs in the game, he had 80 fewer carries than Jonathan Taylor last year. He had 70 fewer carries than Christian McCaffrey. He had about 60 fewer carries than James Cook, 60-ish fewer than Derrick Henry. So, like, we're talking about 3 games worth of touches that he didn't get last year that some of these great running backs have. But those guys are big. Jahmyr Gibbs is not big. He's 5'9", 203, I think is what it says on the website. Like Saquon's like 6 foot, 220. And so I have a lot of conflicting ideas here. Like, here's the thing. Like, I don't think he's going to be a 25 to 30 carry running back, but there is room to grow from his like 15 to 20, right? So I guess that's kind of where I'm at. I'm hoping they thread the needle there of like, okay, let's make sure he's getting at least 20 carries a game, but we don't need to get him to 30. Like, don't make it like that. Don't make it so he is the only guy running the football. Obviously, your backup running back has also taken a step back. I hope no one is insulted by me saying that Isaiah Pacheco is a step down from obviously David Montgomery, but I don't know. I'm surprised that the Lions are going this route because I thought, especially given the injury concerns they've had at just about every other position, that they'd be a little bit more careful about overworking one of their best players.
I think that already happened though, Miko. I think that happened last year. Like, not in terms of overworking Jahmyr Gibbs, but I think that you can say that Jahmyr Gibbs was the bell cow last year. It's the guy who had 335 attempts and targets. I think the only players that are outpacing him in that respect are going to be Bijan Robinson and Christian McCaffrey. Like, this guy, he was a bell cow last year. I think that, yes, like the rushing attempts, the discrepancies between what you said there, Jeremy, like those are plays where you're getting hit no matter what, right? That's a lot to put on a guy who's smaller. I'm including the targets, but the only guys who got more targets than Jahmyr Gibbs last year were Bijan and Christian McCaffrey again. So, like, I think he was the bell cow last year. I think it's kind of why David Montgomery ended up leaving, I think, in a sense, right? Like, in terms of opportunities. And I know we always kind of joked and had fun with the fact for a couple of seasons that, Jahmyr Gibbs wasn't starting a lot of games. It was David Montgomery who was starting. Who was starting. It was funny when I went to look at David Montgomery's PFR page, and it was 17 games, 0 starts all of a sudden for David Montgomery in 2025. So I think hearing Dan say that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be the bell cow that's a soundbite, and that's a video clip for Twitter for fantasy football people where it's like confirmed.
Right.
But I think that this was confirmed a year ago, Miko, when you look at the numbers.
Yeah, I think numbers wise, when you look at, again, when they started to kind of move, even just from like looking at a snap count percentage, like those first 2 years of Jahmyr's career, like it was as close to 50-50 as it could be. And to be honest, like that's I was honestly kind of hoping it would stay there, at least for like a third season. But they swung the pendulum drastically the other way, where it went from, I believe, like 56% of the snaps in 2024 to 67% of the snaps in 2024. So like, or 2025, I'm sorry. So like that's a pretty significant swing. So like you're right in the sense, Ryan, that like it's already kind of started. I share your concern though, Jeremy, that like if the goal is to just increase the number of carries he has, I'm not a huge fan of that idea because of the simple fact that he is of smaller stature, because those hits start to pile up. And the best version of Jahmyr Gibbs is a fresh and healthy version of Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah.
Now, if you tell me that like the plan is like, hey, we're going to get him even more involved in the passing game, that you're going to see him like really have a chance to eclipse like 500, 800 receiving yards type of stuff. And it's going to be some crazy stuff like that where he'll probably, creep up on like over 1,000 rushing, close to over 1,000 receiving. Like, yeah, sign me up for that kind of stuff. But like, I'm not a big fan of the idea of like, yeah, we're just going to like every situation we can to run Jahmyr between the tackles. We're going to do that.
Yeah, that's certainly, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to know what Dan means. It is fair to say that like later in the quote, he's like, yeah, like he's going to do a lot. And so is Amon-Ra. And then so is Pacheco. And it's just like, wait, back up. What was that last one? Pacheco too? So I do think there is some truth to what Ryan is saying, that some of this is a little bit of just a soundbite to the way the team was operating before. But like, so last year he had 320 total touches, which still ranked 10th among running backs. Like Christian McCaffrey was at 413, Jonathan Taylor 369, Bijan 366, James Cook 342. I'm sorry, that's not total. Touches per game is where he ranks 10th. I think overall touches is maybe more like 6th or 7th. But either way, like it's this thing where it's like, okay, I'm okay with it going in that direction, but I don't want him to be first, second, or third, or fourth. Like, I don't want him to get Christian McCaffrey numbers. I don't want him to get Jonathan Taylor numbers, Bijan Robinson numbers, when he's healthy, Saquon Barkley numbers. I don't want any of that stuff. Like, I think that's a bridge too far. But I am fine with him getting him more involved because, yeah, he is electric when the ball is in his hands. Yes, he has room to grow as a receiver. I still want to see him lined up out wide more often than they've actually put him there, when it feels like every year they kind of promise more and more expansion there. But I am concerned, like with this team's injury history, with the way they practice, with him generally being just like a 5'9", 200-pound guy. Like, you don't want to ruin something you had. Like, we know you guys can win in the regular season. Obviously last year was whatever it was, but like just make sure you get to the finish line with Gibbs part of the plan and not run him into the ground. Especially like considering like even the long-term stuff, like you're about to pay him. Don't run through all the tread on the tires here, to actually get the analogy right there. Like, I don't want you to start having him have 400 touches a year. I would like to see him see out at least the entirety of that second contract, and then we can discuss whether a third contract makes sense or not. But like, I hope this is kind of more of a 1-year shift, because maybe they don't have a lot of confidence in their RB2, because I liked what they had going with Dave Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, and I think I'd actually prefer them to get back to that rather than be like, well, it's Jahmyr Gibbs' show now.
Well, it's also like he had his most productive season in that type of system when him and David were still like close to 50-50. Like 2024, he put up over 1,400 yards rushing, 500 yards receiving. Like,
his efficiency was off the charts.
Yeah, right. Like, that's from a system in which you are maximizing him at his best, where you are allowing him to, like, sure, he can be your starter, right? Because, like, again, you go to Pro Football Reference, it says that Jahmyr only started 4 games in 2024. If you want him listed as the starter, he's the guy that gets you going, great. But I think for the longevity of this team, and like you just said, Jeremy, if you're planning to extend him and pay him big money, it is in the best interest of the team as well to keep him as fresh as possible.
I don't know if this was brought up when Dan mentioned this, but I think one of the more interesting questions to know is, are you going to be deploying your running backs similarly to how you did with David and Jahmyr? Because it felt very much series for this guy, series for that guy, or a couple series for this guy because he's got the hot hand. Okay, now you're not even going to see the other guy on this next upcoming series because we're giving that guy a break. Like, it feels like the two big things for me are getting him more involved as a receiver, like you guys said. And I think that kind of lessens some of the brutality of the running back position. Sure. And then the second thing is just, how are you using Pacheco? Like, are they being used on the same drive, like to get, Jahmyr Gibbs a breather? Because I agree, like, the goal is to get Jahmyr playing the best football and feeling relatively healthy by the time January rolls around. That's the number one goal. However you go about accomplishing that, it doesn't feel like ride Jahmyr until week 16. Maybe you have some room. We're going to give him a few weeks off. I don't think that's going to be good for him either. So you just have to find this good balance, and it's a hard thing to strike.
No doubt.
Right? Like, that's what led to Dave Montgomery leaving, is like they couldn't fine tune it just the way that it was. And I think that's ultimately the concern, is like, one, Jahmyr Gibbs' health, but two, like, how do you strike that right balance to make sure that the offense is good for it, the team's good for it?
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's go ahead, Jeremy.
I was just gonna say, like,
I was gonna
you also just said, like, this is the challenge, not just with the running back position, but with all the skill position players. Like, how do you find the right balance? How are you making sure JMO's getting involved enough? And this is gonna lead to questions, as it does every season, where it's just like, well, we go 3 straight games with, JMO not having more than 50 yards. Why aren't you using JMO more? Well, it's because we're feeding Sam LaPorta and Isaiah Pacheco and Jahmyr Gibbs and, like, all that. Like, finding that delicate balance of feeding all the mouths you have to feed while not overworking anybody, while also making sure the offense is operating efficiently is very, very difficult when you have so many good skill position players. It's a great problem to have, and it's something Drew Petzing is going to have to. I think he even told us when we talked with him, like, it's a great problem to have, but it is, we got to make sure we're doing what's right for the team and what's right for these individual players as well. So it's tough. It's not easy.
This is where, though, I feel like the offensive line, it could probably help impact things pretty significantly in the situation of, like, how much the Lions feel like they need to rely on Jahmyr Gibbs. Because I think, like, it's something that I don't think we talked about a ton last season, when, like, they were struggling to get the run game going. They were struggling to pass protect and things like that, where, like, I think there was a heavy reliance on Jahmyr, because it's just like, hey, we need instant offense, like, now. And we feel like we can get more. We feel like we can get that more consistently out of Jahmyr than we do David. If you can go into this 2026 season and this new offensive line that features Cade Mays, that features a second year of Tate Ratledge, and we'll see how things kind of shake out with right tackle, whether it's Blake Miller or Larry Borum. Like, their performance could really kind of carve a way to where you maybe do get back to a little bit more 50-50, because you feel like, hey, no matter who's back there, like, magic can happen. Because I think we'll probably have to continue to repeat this throughout the offseason and into the regular season, probably until it happens. Isaiah Pacheco is very physical, but he is not a slow running back.
Right.
So, like, the potential for, like, home run hits with him, I don't want to say are just as likely, but are likely when he's back there if things are blocked correctly.
No doubt. There's some really fun runs if you go back to his early years with the Chiefs, where he's got explosiveness in ways that will look very familiar. The offensive line it's going to be fascinating this year, because when Panay said it, I didn't believe it, and I had to go back and check. Like, when he came in and was drafted the first year of this regime, it was filled with offensive linemen that are no longer here. Every single player. Every single offensive lineman that was here in 2021 is no longer here in 2026 outside of Panay Sewell. And it's a pretty large overhaul from obviously what was a pretty darn good offensive line for most of those years. And then the other thing that I've pointed out a couple times already, no one is playing next to someone that they played next to last year, like, on either side. So that's another thing that this team is going to have to kind of weather the storm of. And so are they more talented now than last year? Yeah, it seems like that's probably a safe bet. Are they going to look that way on week 1? I don't know. But the sooner they do it, everything is going to look a lot better. Jahmyr is going to play a lot better. Jared is going to play a lot better. The offense is going to have more of a rhythm. You're going to be able to do things, and you're probably going to be able to target JMO more deep if you're pass protection as well. Like, everything hinges on how this offensive line performs, and unfortunately, like, OTAs is not giving us any sort of sign into what that's going to look like because there's walkthroughs and no one's got pads on, and Panay's even saying it, like, yeah, unfortunately this time of year isn't that great for us because we can't go out there and hit people. We can't go out there and show where we're at. A lot of our preparation has to be mental, but that mental side of it is also, like, critical with this unit. Like, I do love seeing, I don't know if it's going to translate to good football, but I love seeing Cade Mays taking Tate Ratledge out on his turkey hunts. Like, that can't be bad. That can't be a bad thing. Like, they're getting to know each other. They're a tight-knit group. Panay even said, like, yeah, maybe I'll go out and try it. It doesn't really seem like a Panay Sewell thing that to do, but he's like, yeah, listen, if that's what the offensive linemen like to do, I'll try it and see what it's like. So I don't know. That was a long ramble of saying, like, I don't know how this offensive line is going to work out, but it's fascinating, and it's obviously critically important.
Yeah, Ryan, I'm kind of in the same boat where, like, I don't know where I land with this unit. It's probably the unit where there's, like, not a lot of proof in the pudding, but I'm still, like, wildly optimistic about the group. And maybe it's just the feeling of, like, there's no way this group looks worse than they did last year.
And I feel like that hinges on the coaching, because I agree with Jeremy, his statement that this offensive line feels more talented than the offensive line from a year ago. The talent I'm not concerned about. The preparedness is not the concern, but that's the question mark, because at the beginning of last year, they were clearly not prepared. Jeremy mentions the mental side of things. There were mental gaffes in that Green Bay film that kind of led to, some offensive coordinators who used to be here telling on themselves a little bit and maybe going a bridge too far with a developing offensive line. But that was Dan Campbell's, that was where Dan Campbell was in the preseason. That's where Dan Campbell was in training camp, was talking about how, this offensive line is going to take time to gel, but he felt optimistic about where they would end up. I just think that they lack talent in some spots. And I think that they upgraded in talent in Cade Mays. And I think that they've upgraded in talent for a guy like Blake Miller. And is it all going to be there in the beginning, though? That's the big question mark. That's the preparedness element of it. And how fine-tuned is Drew Petzing going to have this thing from the jump? Because they're going to need it from the jump, right? Maybe not week 1 against the New Orleans Saints. I'm not trying to overlook any football teams, but week 2, you're going into a absolute dogfight to go play in Buffalo. If week 1 is a quote unquote dress rehearsal, you better be ready for the big show come week 2. So, like, this offensive line has less time to gel into that unit that I think that we think it can be because of the talent that it has. I think this kind of ties back to the Jahmyr Gibbs stuff too, though, Miko, is that the reason you saw so much Jahmyr Gibbs, especially towards the end of the season, is the Lions were in holes because either their offense was stalling out, the defense wasn't able to keep leads, or the defense was giving up points. Who are you going to put on the field? You're going to put Jahmyr Gibbs on the field because they do want those big explosive plays. They do have to come back in a hurry. They are throwing the ball more, so they're going to have their better pass catcher back there. So it all ties together. It all goes together, and the offensive line, again, continues to be the most important and most pivotal piece of this football team. Like, I think we've agreed on that for years, and it needs to bounce back in a way that it so badly needs to. It was so bad to begin the season, guys, and that kind of just set the tone, right?
Yeah, and for me personally, Jeremy, like, I just need them to be good, at least in the start of the season, in one phase. Like, if it's the run game that's just, like, launching this team to success, then awesome. If it's going to take a little bit for, like, the pass pro to get there, then, like, whatever. Yeah, but I need, like,
it can't
some
all be
aspect.
Bad.
Right, exactly.
I actually think the key is getting better throughout the season, because if you look at last year, like, they weathered the storm. The offensive line was pretty bad early on, and they went, 5-1, 6-2? but they never got better. Or, you know, the Christian Mahogany thing happened or whatever. Like, there was no turning of the corner. Like, yes, some of the MAs stopped, but they were still getting beat up. The running game wasn't as effective. The pass protection wasn't as good. They couldn't handle the Vikings either time. That to me was kind of the bigger issue. Like, yeah, there's always going to be some ugly September football. And if that's the case this year, fine, whatever.
Sure.
Just make sure that when the schedule gets a lot harder in the second half, that you get better. You get better. The pass protection gets better. The chemistry gets better. And you live up to what people are expecting to be close to a top 10 offensive line this year.
I think that speaks to the ceiling of last year's group, though, right? Where it's like you have a beat-up Taylor Decker, you have Graham Glasgow, who's in the spot that he's in. Tate Ratledge is a rookie, right? It feels like there's like ceilings to what that group could have developed into, and maybe they, you know, went up against that ceiling at that point. You know, they're 5-1, but then the injuries to Mahogany, and then all of a sudden you have Kingsley Agwakin, who's playing center one week. You know, that caps what they can be. And I think that we all feel more optimistic about the level of talent with this year's roster where, yeah, it might take, Jeremy, to your point, right? Like, if it does take time to develop, that's fine, but like it needs to continue to keep pushing up and elevating, you know. And
maybe the depth helps them out this year too, right? Because the depth was not great last year. Like, as soon as someone was out, they were in trouble. But now you have Juice Scruggs. Now you have Larry Borum or Blake Miller. Now, you know,
Miles Frazier
is in year 2. Christian Mahogany is in year 3. Like, there's it's easy to say now that you like the depth more until they actually go out there on the field. But at the same time, it does look like, if you look at the depth charts from last year to this year, it does feel like you have maybe a little bit more confidence in those guys that would have to step in if they have to step in.
No, absolutely. And speaking of like having a little bit more confidence in someone if they need to step up, I think that's kind of probably might be like the reigning theme for Derrick Barnes going into the season, is like, how much confidence can we have in Derrick Barnes that the player that the Lions chose to invest in is actually going to be the guy that shows up week in and week out. Justin Rogers got a chance to kind of sit down with him and kind of just like recap like how Derrick Barnes kind of felt about last year. And it's good to know for me, Jeremy, that like that Barnes didn't feel like he necessarily accomplished everything he wanted to accomplish, even though statistically like things look better. But I mean, from a week to week basis, it wasn't quite living up to, I think, what a lot of fans were hoping he would be.
Yeah, I thought he had some very honest quotes about his own play last year, saying, quote, again, this is to Justin Rogers of Detroit Football Network. "Last year wasn't my best ball. I beat myself up about it all the time. I feel like I took a step back last year. This year, everything is personal. Every time that a little voice in my head is saying, you need to study a little bit more, you need to get extra work, I'm listening to it." So, like, yeah, he saw what we all saw, which was the pass rush wasn't where it needed to be. The coverage wasn't what it needed to be. The run defense even wasn't where it needed to be, and for him to take ownership is good. Doesn't mean he's necessarily going to be better, but you know, he's telling Justin Rogers, you know, I'm coming in a little bit earlier, I'm staying in a little late. I feel like some of this is you know, his reaction to Alex Anzalone leaving, where he feels like there's a hole in terms of leadership, both by you know, by leadership by example, leadership by voice. Like, I think he feels the need to step up in a lot of ways, not just because he didn't have a good season last year. Whether any of that happens, though, is a different question. And I don't know where I stand on. I mean, at this point, we're just guessing. Does he take a step to rationalize the contract he got, or does he continue to play at a level where you're like, okay, he's not a huge liability, but he's not the playmaker that we need him to be?
Yeah. Right. Go ahead, Ryan.
I thought the comments about Alex Anzalone and losing him as a vocal leader was pretty interesting, because I think we all know that Jack Campbell is a watch me do this and you follow kind of guy, right? So if he feels like there's going to be this void that's left in being a vocal leader, and it sounds like he's ready to step up to that challenge and be that guy, I'm all for it. I think what's really interesting that Justin brings up is how there's essentially no guaranteed money left on this contract after the season. It was really like 2 years with a team option.
Yep.
And Barnes says, I know that there's a business side of the ball, but I'm going to, like, my goal is to play well enough that I don't give them an option, right? Like, they have to bring me back just from the way that I play this year. But it's interesting how Justin frames all of it, where it's like Derrick had a career year when it comes to numbers. You look at the productivity, he had more sacks than he ever had. He had more pressures than he ever had. But it didn't feel like that impactful of a season from Derrick Barnes. So doesn't that just feel emblematic of what the Detroit Lions defense was last year, right? Like you pointed out in the pass rush article, Jeremy, where it's like Al-Qadim Muhammad had 11 sacks. Like it would have been within Brad Holmes to be like, I thought the pass rush was pretty good. Look at all the sacks at the team, but it just didn't pass the eye test, right? And it felt like Derrick Barnes at times didn't pass the eye test last year, and that's where he's kind of beating himself up. It's really interesting how PFF charts their alignment counts, because they have Derrick Barnes with 101 slot snaps a year ago for the Detroit Lions, where it's like that just speaks to the difficulty of that position, right? We've talked about the Sam linebacker and how hard it is to play in this spot. They paid Derrick Barnes to rise to the occasion and be that guy for them, and this is the make or break year for Derrick Barnes, truthfully. And I think he realizes that. I think the team realizes that. All parties involved know that this is the big year for Derrick Barnes. It's just how much confidence do you have in that happening? Like, is he finally going to put it all together? And it feels, Miko, it feels like a callback to our conversation earlier in the first segment, where it's like, well, there's this interconnectedness amongst all of the defense, right? Like the secondary will benefit. The secondary will stand to benefit from the defensive line playing well. Well, like the defensive line will stand well if the secondary holds up, but Derrick Barnes plays that role where he's all over the place.
And I think that's what kind of is going to put him kind of like at the center of things, where it's just like you are going to though have opportunities to make plays. And it's very similar to Terrion Arnold, where it's like, hey, people shouldn't be able to turn on film and be like, hey, number 55 is the problem. Like, you're going to be playing next to an all-pro linebacker this year, like literally right next to him. And as much as he's talking about, like, again, filling the shoes of Alex Anzalone, like, sure, you can do that in a leadership capacity. You could be more vocal. You could be more, hey, follow me into battle type of guy. But if it doesn't translate on the field, like, eventually that's going to start to ring hollow. And so, like, I'm with Derrick Barnes, I'm in the same place that I was with Terrion Arnold, where it's like, do I think he could have a really good, impactful year? Yeah, like statistically, he's getting better. It needs to be more consistent, and it needs to be more impactful when your number is called and you get an opportunity to rush the passer. Like, you need to win. You when you're called to cover the slot or the tight end, like you can't have so many opportunities where it's just like you start to look at it and it's like, put it this way. If we get to a point in the season, just like how we talked about with Terrion Arnold, where it's like, if we get to a point in the season where Terrion gets benched, like, we know that this has gone terribly wrong. If we get to a point in the season where the Lions are like, you know what, we're just going to put Derrick at Sam and he's never going to touch Will ever again, we have, like, something has gone wrong.
Right.
In my opinion.
Yeah. I think that leads to an interesting conversation of what exactly his role is going to be now with Alex gone. How much of him is absorbing some of the Will role, or versus how much is we're just going to have a Sam out there all the time? Because last year, like, he played 940 defensive snaps. There's over 85% of the team's defense. Like, they had a Sam out there a lot, and sometimes he was playing well. But now is it going to be closer to 100%? Like, is he going to crawl into the 90s, into the 95 percentile? Like, if so, you better not only see some of those statistics go up, but you better see some of the actual efficiency, some of the actual good play. And that's something I'm going to, continue to look at during the offseason when they go into nickel looks. Is it Derrick Barnes out there? Is it Malcolm Rodriguez? Is it a third guy that we're not really even talking about at this moment? The linebacker situation seems like it's in this weird pivot point. Like, we are certainly at a fork in the road when it comes to the linebacker group, because outside of Jack Campbell and his extension, there are no answers beyond 2027. Like, obviously Jimmy Rolder they drafted him in the 4th round. I don't want to forget about him completely, and maybe he does enter the conversation of the rotation this year. I have my questions about that, but I'm certainly not going to dismiss it before the guy even takes a snap in training camp. It's obviously a pivot year for Malcolm. It's obviously a pivot year for Derrick. But if Derrick can do exactly what he said and make the decision easy for Detroit, then maybe the decision isn't whether we keep him around for the option year. Maybe it's, do we give him another extension? And I mean, that the conversation can literally change that quickly if he puts out a big year, because regardless of whether he's going to assume some of Alex Anzalone's abilities, I think it's fair to say he's going to have a role at least as big as it was last year, which was pretty massive.
Yeah, real big. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that it's, if Derrick Barnes plays well enough that, you know, the team thinks that they need to pick up the option, they probably need to sign him to an extension if he plays that well, right? If he has that big of a leap in productivity. And thought the last thing that was really interesting about Justin Rogers' piece about him was that notice that he's spending more time working with the defensive backs and focusing on being more patient with his footwork, something he thought Alex Anzalone did such a good job with, because it does feel like it's a processing thing, and it feels like it's a mental thing. Again, there's so much on his plate at the position he plays, but I think being a better coverage linebacker, that's what they are losing in Alex Anzalone. Like that seemed like that was the thing that he excelled at the most. Beyond just being a good in run fits and being a reliable run defender, Derrick Barnes has to wear so many hats at that Sam position that if that part of his game does come together, Miko, I think that's a guy that the Detroit Lions would extend in the 2027 offseason.
And I think it's worth pointing out too, and probably worth saying that, like, in addition to Derrick Barnes taking on more responsibility, I think, like, and I'm sure this is being said behind closed doors, like, there's probably an expectation that Jack takes on more responsibility. Like, they're both very athletic guys. They're both very, like, capable of being better in coverage. So as much as, like, Derrick needs to improve his coverage ability, I think Jack is just as much in that area as well, where it's like, hey, you're also going to have to take up, take a bigger leap and take on more responsibility in that area. Because I think one of the things that's very interesting about Derrick Barnes, and this has been in his bag since they drafted him, is his versatility, to where, like, we're talking about him bouncing backward between Will and Sam. He can also still moonlight at Mike. And so if it's a situation where you want to play nickel and you, like, it may still be Jack and Derrick out there, but you're just putting way more of the coverage onus on Jack in those situations where technically Jack is playing the Will in those areas, where it's just like, we're going to do whatever. I think the Lions should be looking to do whatever allows their defense to function at a high rate. I don't think they should, nor do I think they would pencil in, like, well, no, Jack's the Mike, so he's the Mike all the time.
Right.
Like, no, Jack's the better cover guy in situations where we need him to cover the tight end or the running back. Like, we're just, like, you guys are going to flip.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's why they cross-train all their guys, and it adds a level of unpredictability, too, when you can be like, well, Jack's going to be our Will on 3rd and 15, or, we're going to throw out a Sam, or we're going to throw out a nickel. Like, the more that you can do with all these players, the better. And so the fact that Derrick has put in a conscious effort to be a better coverage guy is great. Like, it still might not be his role on 3rd downs. He might be on the edge on 3rd downs, but if he can do it, if he can expand his game and do all those things that he's asked to do as a Sam linebacker, and while also filling in at Will, while also filling in at Mike, like, it just makes the defense that much better, that much more unpredictable, and a tougher matchup for the opposing offense.
And I think that was the sneaky thing about Derrick's stats, especially in, like, 2023, was that, like, just a really good run defender, very, very good run defender, and I always think back to Isaiah Simmons, remember the linebacker safety hybrid that they drafted. It's like, well, he can line up anywhere. It's like, but if you can't play everywhere, then what good is lining up everywhere? And I just want to see them play to Barnes' strengths. And I know that his strengths are in run defense, but getting the most out of him is going to require the coverage stuff. It's going to require the stuff that you're talking about, Miko, being able to put on different hats at different times. And I mean, it's kind of surprising to hear that he only had was it like just over like 100? I think it was 188 pass rush snaps, which was by far the most that he'd ever had in his career. In 2023, he had 100. But it was also the most football that he'd ever played last season.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, I think it's just going to be so important to their defense that he has a good season from the linebacking crew.
Yeah.
It feels like they paid Jack Campbell and they rewarded him in such a way that there's no qualms, no worries about what he's going to provide for the team. But Derrick Barnes seems like he's emerging as like a sneaky X factor for the defense.
Yeah. And I think that, I mean, he's probably going to remain one of the top guys on my list once training camp kind of rolls around, of like guys that I want to see once pads get on.
No doubt.
Like Justin mentioned in the article, what better training camp reps are you going to get than Sam LaPorta covering Jahmyr Gibbs? Okay. Yeah, you're going to be battle tested.
100%. All right, guys. Well, I think that'll pretty much do it for this podcast. We do have a couple reviews, though, that we have to get to. And if you have been tuning into the podcast the last couple of weeks, you know that we are pretty much on our march to 1,000 podcast reviews over on Apple Podcasts. We are currently at 947, up another 5 from the previous week. And if you are also watching this over on YouTube, we're up to 19,000 subscribers over on YouTube. So we're officially probably just a little under 1,000 away from getting to 20,000. Both of these goals, we're trying to hit 1,000 Apple Podcast reviews as well as 20,000 subscribers before the start of the regular season. So there's still plenty of time to leave a review if you haven't left a review, or drop a sub over on YouTube if you haven't done that yet. But we do actually have 4 new reviews to read this week. I'm gonna have you guys just split these 2 and 2. So whoever wants to read first, and take whichever review that you want.
Jeremy, you know the reviews have gotten to a point where they're being self-referential about us talking about the reviews.
Yes,
so
it's fantastic.
We jumped the shark. Yeah.
But first of all, like, shout out to everybody listening for like actually taking our advice here and making a big charge. I mean, I don't remember what our reviews were at when we started this, but it feels like in the 920 range, and just in a matter of weeks, we're already near the halfway point throughout the 900s to get to 1,000. So shout out for everyone who's been doing that, and to our new YouTube subscribers as well. Yeah, I'll just
rising to the challenge. I love it.
Exactly. Let's make that final push in the next, we got 3 months to get 53 reviews on Apple Podcasts and 1,000 YouTube subscribers. So go tell your friends. Jay Kesso 83 with a 5-star review says, the GOAT of Lions podcasts. Says, Pride of Detroit in all of its forms is the best source of Lions news and analysis by a wide margin. The podcast was already phenomenal, but the addition of Miko took it up to another level. Also, how old does it make me if I use 3 spaces after each sentence? Which they did, by the way. Which is a reference, as you mentioned, to a previous review.
I don't think it's a telltale sign of age. I think that's just like psychosis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair diagnosis of all of our listeners.
Yeah. I love it. Next review comes from just a 314 guy. The title of the review is not boring, but we did get 5 stars. The review goes, as a displaced Lions fan with many decades of experience living in Iowa, I have a credible perspective on boring experiences, and I can say with great confidence that there is nothing boring about POD. As reliable as a Hawkeye punter, you can count on the guys to show up and perform at an elite level week after week. Balanced and entertaining. My only regret is that I somehow missed this show for so many years. If you are on the fence, give it a try. You won't regret it. That was a really good review.
That's an awesome review. Yeah,
I like the self-deprecation about Iowa and Iowa football. And you know what? At some point, they're going to get an offense that works. I believe it.
Must be why he's so at home watching the Lions. Great punter, right? You know.
All right, this next review comes from someone who clearly only made an Apple Podcasts account to make this review because their name is Best Lions Podcast Around. Their review name is also Best Lions Podcast Around. And it says, quote, extremely intelligent and in-depth conversation. of all things Lions, but presented in a way that the average fan can understand and appreciate. They are Lions fans, but will not gloss over problems on the team or in the organization. Straight talk. Appreciate it.
Good. Yeah.
You
Final
wanna take the last
one.
Yeah, take it.
Titled POD Rocks, all caps, with an exclamation point. I feel like all that information is important to know. From KRent19999. I always get the numbers. Their review is, still can't believe my favorite band knows so much about my favorite football team. I feel so alive knowing that the youth of the nation are getting A+ Detroit Lions analysis all year round. I absolutely love POD. 10 out of 10. Great references. Great callbacks.
Callbacks, band references, knows their... Does POD stand for something in the band?
I was literally going to ask, like, is POD a band? Because, like, what if you were going to have to tell me what band it is?
Oh, yeah. It's a Christian nu metal band from the 90s, Miko.
You know the song, Boom, here comes the boom, ready or not, here comes the boys from the South. That's POD.
Oh, okay.
Or Youth of the Nation, as the person references in their...
Listen, we don't just give out information on this podcast. We learn things, too. And I just learned something from one of our subscribers.
Oh, payable on death is what POD stands for.
Okay.
Again, you learn something new every day.
There you go.
Especially on the Pride of Detroit POD cast.
And especially over at the prideofdetroit.com website as well, where there are new articles being put out every single day. So if you are looking for any new information during this off season, because listen, there's stuff happening, and Jeremy's out here writing things. Not sure where he's getting the motivation, but he's still putting out new content each and every day. So definitely go over, check out the website. Also, if you haven't, like I said earlier, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, go over there, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. It's a great opportunity for you to be able to not just tune into the live stream, but if the podcast is just a little too long for you, we are actually going to be doing something new. I'm going to be taking clips from the podcast, posting them to the YouTube channel. So if you want to be able to experience the podcast, but without having to watch an hour long or even a 2-hour long live stream, you can do that now and just get nice 10 to 15 minute clips of what we talked about throughout the podcast. It'll be some stuff from the segments. Sometimes it might be stuff from the break. You never know. So definitely head over to the YouTube channel to check that out. And sneak peek, Morgan and I are going to be doing the Derrick Moore film study tomorrow. So that'll also be up on the YouTube channel on Wednesday. So if you enjoyed the Blake Miller one, listen, we're going to finally get to Derrick Moore tomorrow. So sorry for the delay on that, but we want to make sure to get that out to you guys as soon as possible. So yeah, check out the YouTube channel if you haven't done that already.
Really quick.
With all of that,
really quick, because it's going to be Derrick Moore week at Pride of Detroit, because we're also going to be dropping our first bite that we talked about with our Michigan beat writer about Derrick Moore. So if you're a Pride of Detroit direct subscriber, pridedetroit.com/subscribe to become one, you'll also get a Michigan insider's perspective on Derrick Moore's time at Michigan.
See, even more Derrick Moore if you are a huge Michigan fan, or if you're just like, really hopeful that the Lions pass rush comes alive this year. You can get a lot of excitement and a lot of information this upcoming week. So with all of that said, I'm Miko. He's Ryan. He's Jeremy. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch and listen, and we will see you all in the next one.
That was a really long episode for a podcast that we had nothing to talk about.
I told you guys. Fortunately, it wasn't like Jahmyr Gibbs news breaking, but
yep. No, I think our first segment, we went like 35 minutes, and I feel like we did another like 35 there, at least.
Yeah. I think the break included the things that will get us talking, though. Like smoked meat, breakfast sandwiches.
I literally want to go to Sheetz right now for dinner. Yeah. Like, I want to go to Buc-ee's. No. I have so much food at home.
Right now, as you are dressed, go to Sheetz.
I still have to figure out a day and time I'm going to disc golf in all of this. It's going to have to be early in the morning, given how hot it is these days.
Dude, yeah. There's a heat wave right now. It's supposed to be like 87.
I'm I'm dying.
later this week.
Yeah, and I think it's supposed to thunderstorm at some point this week too.
Maybe this week we'll put our heads together in the Slack room and find a week for accountability week.
Oh, I didn't mean to ask you guys about accountability week. So, I'm old and my knees and ankles suck.
Love the way the sentence is starting.
So, I have two propositions.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is, can I count the walking that I do at Disney towards my 5 miles?
Absolutely not.
No.
No.
What if I did it in the Buc-ee's onesie?
You're closer.
You're definitely closer. We might have to wait for chat's reaction to that one. Marty is in.
I was gonna say,
Okay,
hold on.
if I can't count that, can I do the equivalent of 5 miles on a Stairmaster instead?
I feel like if you're gonna do that, then I'm gonna be like, well, all the food that I ate during the day, I'm gonna equate it to the the caloric intake of a chicken nugget, and then I get that knocked off my chicken nugget total that I have to eat.
I think that's fair for the Disney one. I think for the Stairmaster one, like if it's straight 5 miles on a Stairmaster,
that's
just
not
as
going to be
taxing.
enjoyable. Like your legs are
Yeah.
going to be feeling it. Yeah, for sure.
I think I'm open to the Stairmaster idea. I actually don't really know what a Stairmaster is though.
dude, it sucks. Okay.
Endless
Like-
stairs. They just keep appearing.
It is. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, of all the cardio machines in a gym, that one looks the most unassuming. And you're like, oh, like it's walking upstairs. Like, how bad could this possibly be? And then you're on it for like 15. You're on it for like 5 minutes. You're like, oh, this actually like sucks. Like,
Yeah.
this is not.
So why would you rather
This
do
is
that
not
than
fun.
go 5 miles?
Oh, because like it's not as bad on my joints.
Okay. Stairmaster in the suit. Now we're talking.
Because like I already sweat a ton just like on the stair. Like this suit would be disgusting afterwards.
I think it would be disgusting in Disney World too.
Oh yeah, it would. Like, listen, my family would be absolutely ashamed of me.
Would you do 5 miles
Yes,
on the Stairmaster in one outing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like in one. Like I might take a break if like something like physically shuts down. But like, yeah,
I think that might be okay. Yeah, I think
elliptical is better. Yeah,
I think as long as we're recording or have some sort of recording, we will upload all of them to YouTube. The accountability challenges. I feel like my body is in a good enough place where I can do the up down challenge. But I'm going to say this, like there is 0% chance I can do 100 in a row. Like they're going to have to be split up like 33, 33, 34 during a show.
no, I think that's fair. I think you should get like at least a 2-minute break in between up downs.
Right. I mean, Lions players were throwing up after whatever. I don't even remember how many they did. 50?
Yeah, Ryan, you have to power through. I don't know how the hell I don't know what a break is gonna do for you.
All gas, no brakes. If I'm getting to 100, it's gonna be sooner rather than later. I'll tell you that.
It was only 40 up downs.
Huh?
He made the players do.
And they were throwing up.
Some were throwing up. Some were clearly not making it all the way to 40.
Well, maybe some aren't built like you.
All I ask is that if I do throw up, I need one of you to go, yeah, go throw up, Jeremy. Like, throw up, Skip. Keep throwing up, Skip.
Oh man, is it dinner time yet?
Yeah.
Okay, so according to Google, I would have to be on a Stairmaster for an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half at level 6, which is what I usually do a Stairmaster at, to get to 5 miles.
Listen,
I typically am on the Stairmaster for like 25 minutes. So
I don't know if you're comfortable doing this in your gym, but if you live streamed that while like taking Lions questions, it'd be a great 75 minutes of streaming entertainment.
sure, I can do that. Like, yeah, I'd have to go to like my other gym and not Planet Fitness because they have a weird no streaming thing.
I get it. It seems like
yeah,
there is a
I'll do that.
subculture of fitness influencers who record and annoy all the people around them.
Yeah, so the other gym I go to, they actually do allow us to like record and stuff. So yeah, I'll do it there.
Okay. And Ryan, I don't know if you just plan to do it like during a show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So you and I will have to figure out a day in which we both do it.
Like same
I'll be
same
there.
show. You're gonna be doing up downs on
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that when you both throw up, I'd be like, yeah, Brian, keep throwing
Keep
up.
throwing up, Brian.
Whatever you're doing over there.
I'm ready. Like I'm hungry. I wish I could do it right now. It's hungry I am.
I do not want to do up downs right now.
Calf is feeling okay, huh?
Yeah, it's feeling pretty good.
Famous last words.
After the Stairmaster, I might be able to do that whole pizza challenge.
Probably true. All right. Oh wait, let me get through some alerts that I missed, and then we'll get out of here. Captain James Hurt 25-bit says I just went to Buc-ee's for the first time in April. It's so freaking worth it. It's wild. It's wild that this is all about a gas station. Yevitz 55 months subscribed on Twitch. Go Play 9 30 months subscribed on Twitch. K Fletch 33 months says, hey, it's my Kerryon Johnson, Olandis Gary, and Sione Vaki anniversary. Not a lot of notable 33s in Lions history. Love watching you guys either way. Appreciate you, buddy. Sports Turf Pro 38 months says, is it football season yet? For some reason, I thought it was only like 2 months away. And then I was like, oh, no, it's still 3 months away. It is still a quarter of the year away.
Oh yeah, like we still have we got to June, but we have all of June still.
Yeah, we still got all of June left.
Yes. It's 2 months until training camp, and then it'll feel like football season's here. So I guess that kind of counts. Jay Garcia, 16 months subscribed on Twitch, says go Lions. And UFW Messi, thank you for following us on Twitch. And we are caught up. Anything else before we get out of here, fellas?
I'll be on location next week. I'll be in Cincinnati, so I'll be streaming from there.
Okay.
And I'm not breaking the Buc-ee's onesie, just so you guys know. I'm not doing it. It's somehow not going to fit in the luggage. I was gonna say this too, Jeremy. You were talking about how like annoying Sheetz billboards are.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you would feel about Buc-ee's billboards, because from the time you were probably like within 200 miles of one, you start seeing billboards.
I don't mind billboards.
And they're all basically just like hyping you up for like what's to come.
That's okay. The thing that bothers me about the Sheetz billboards is like the nonsense words and like
Yeah.
the like, to borrow a term from our own business, the curiosity gap that they use, where it's just like,
Oh,
here's
yeah.
a word you don't know. You better come in and do a Sheetz and figure out what they are. Because like, what am I going to go to the cashier and be like, hey, what's a flim flam? Like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be an idiot. Feel like an idiot.
That's fair. I don't think Buc-ee's does that as. I mean, like beaver nuggets might be the only one where you're like, the
Right.
hell's a beaver nugget?
Right.
Because I think when I first saw it, I was like, oh, like some sort of chicken nugget. It was
That's
not
kind of what I
chicken
figured.
nuggets.
Yeah. No.
Mm-hmm. That's what I immediately assumed too.
Yeah. But maybe on top of accountability week, Ryan and I go road tripping and live stream testing all of Buc-ee's foods. And maybe if we can pull Miko away from his family.
I was gonna say if we can kidnap Miko.
I will abandon this family so quickly for a Buc-ee's.
No one clip that and send him to his wife, please.
I will leave my wife in charge for some brisket.
All she's gonna say is make sure I bring her something back. She knows the deal.
Yeah, as long as Miko leaves the house with a, what do you even call those? Like the insulators that like the DoorDash drivers have to keep the food warm. Like
you can just buy one of those at Buc-ee's.
Yeah.
I bet you could. Could.
And therein lies the magic.
All right. We'll leave things there. Midweek and mailbag will be. Actually, I haven't talked about it with Eric, but I imagine we'll probably record on Wednesday. Live. It'll be for everybody, not just Pride of Detroit Direct subscribers. And like I said, for Pride of Detroit Direct subscribers, you will have our Jimmy Roller First Bite episode later in the week. Probably Friday, because you'll also get midweek, or you'll get the OTA week 3 video Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Anything else, Ryan? You want to shit on the Red Wings one more time before we get out of here? Power the entire Iowa grid line.
I'm mad about this.
All right, we'll get out of here then.